Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday to everybody. Welcome back to the We Are Rise show, the Rise Trifecta. I'm your host, your moderator, your bartender for this evening. Grab a drink, silence your fact checkers, and hide your search history because tonight we're diving headfirst into another week of government incompetence, media gymnastics. I mean, honestly, things are so batshit crazy. It's nuts. And stories so ridiculous, you would reject them from a Netflix script for being what? Too unrealistic. We are now living in a time that everything that we're seeing is so upside down. It's so embarrassing. I mean, it's like you see what's happening with CBS and 60 Minutes. Now they want to what? They want to in some way hire Joe Rogan. And Leslie Stahl is fighting for her life and many other people. And Leslie Stahl is another election denier. She should be gone as well. But there are many things that are happening right now simultaneously that are overlapping, that are interlocking, interconnecting, and that we have to really get into. I'm going to cover, yes, Anthony Carmelo. Yeah, we're going to cover that. Tonight's show, ballots and backlash, Trump claims, vote count controversy, and rising public safety fears between black and white races. We're going to cover the Carmelo Anthony nonsense and that whole stuff. We're going to cross-sec and intersect with a lot of different divisions and stuff. Tonight is a call-in show. I dropped the stream. I will drop it again. Someone had sent me the other night a DM or an email, whatever you want to call it, basically saying that the reason why some people don't want to call in, they're afraid to call in, is that I might bite their head off. And I'm like, why would I bite your head off? Has anybody who was previously called in bit their head off? Do they have a moniker of talking points and discussions and stuff, even if we disagree, to agree or not agree at all? I mean, I don't understand why I would get something like that. And I said to this person, I'm like, I don't know who you are because you claim anonymous, and that's great. That's fine. You know what? But don't be anonymous. You know what? Stand up and, make yourself known and come on. Don't sit there and send me some fucking email and say this and nonsense. There are many people right here on welcomeinpill.net, on YouTube, and on Rumble that state their opinion. They got no problem stating their opinion to me. And actually, I respond to the opinion, whether they donate or not. I'm not one of those people. It's like, it's only about donations. It's only about support. It's only about this. Because I remember there's a lot of great people on Rumble that get, I think, blazed over because the fact is, you know why? Because they get bitchy because the fact is a lot of people don't support. Maybe they don't have the money. Maybe they don't want to this, but I still comment on some of their stuff. And there's some really good people like True Terran over there and Gnaw Dog that do support the platform. All right. And I still read their commentary, no, regardless or nevertheless. I think in some way, I think it's embarrassing that I get that type of, fervor. I mean, I just seriously, I give everybody a quarter to speak and discuss and stuff and have open discussions. But if you're just scared in some way, well, then don't participate. Then don't be around. Patty B, you're always kind to call-ins. Thank you. I mean, honestly, I'm never rude to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Even when I read the chat, and I know it's brutal. Sometimes I get just laid to waste and stuff, but I don't push back in a negative manner. I only express a certain level of disgust and impatience and negativity when I read these articles and all these things that I think in some way that just drive me batshit and crazy, that drive you batshit and crazy. And I'm just sick of it. I called in. We have respectful conversation. Thank you, Rude Poo. Yes, you have called in, and I appreciate that. I mean, I got this email. I'm not going to show it, but it really bothered me because we've had many a times over the course of years that people called in, and I have been nothing but I'm not apathetic. I'm not saying I'm sympathetic, but I listen. They speak. They talk. We get into discussions, and that's it. Half the time, I don't even push back. I let the caller say what they want, and that's it. I throw out something and let them think about it, and that's it. I'm not here to change your mind. I don't come in with this We Are the Rise show and sit there. I have some type of agenda to what? Consecrate some type of moral compass to find your way into this, this minutia of chaos that we live in. All right. That's up to you. I just give it as I see it. I express it as I feel it, and I just lay it out. I don't understand why we sit here and say, I'm not here to make you change your mind. I'm not here to convince you of A, B, or C. All right. I'm just laying it out. This is my perspective. It's an opinion show to a lesser degree, but I still give up facts. I still make sure that I'm factually oriented. I make sure that the articles or periodicals are there so that we cover it in a real contextual way and we don't spin it. We don't sit there and flip it. We're not the mainstream media garbage news that are propagandist news. I'm not here throwing things down, but we are entering in, I think, right now in an early basin of a black-white civil war. I think so. I think we are. Will it be quelled? Yeah, I think it will. I think things are getting hot and heavy. You see what's going on in New Jersey, the ICE riots, that is percolating up. The mayor over there had basically subsequently just lowered the temperature and basically said, yeah, we have no riot. We have no curfew. And then what happened? They went back to rioting. And now President Trump is possibly about to send in the National Guard because these Democrat mayors, these governors, Democrat governors don't have the fortitude. They don't have the stamina. They don't have the wherewithal to do what's right because they know it's right and they don't fucking care. They don't care. And I'm sick of it. You know what? Just declare martial law. Let's sweep through the 28 sanctuary city-state fiefdoms and just roll them out. Roll them out. We know where they are. They're about to steal the mayoral and the governor election from two Republicans. They're about to do it. Yes, are they investigating it? Yeah, but this is California. It doesn't matter. It goes up in a blaze of smoke, a blaze of glory, and we're supposed to accept it. I'm not accepting anything anymore. Until shit is done, I'm going to be fucking calling it out. I know this administration is about to go hard and heavy on them. But you know what? The only way you can really consecrate this, rectify this, reconcile this in some way is to arrest fucking people. Arrest them. Call it out, show it. Because they're about to do the same thing come November and steal the fucking election. To flip the House, flip the Senate, do whatever they got to do. And then to impeach Trump. Oh, they're going to do it right before that. Welcome in, pill.net. Hello, Wood USA. What's up? Thank you for the 209 gold pills. Let's effing go. Yes. Trusty Turnip, good evening. How you doing, lady? Alphabet Omega pill. What's that? Anthony Carmelo. Yeah. How about Carmelo Anthony? You want to go to the Knicks game? You see Trump right now, he's getting flack because, hey, look, and I'll cover it tonight. But listen, if you want to waste your money to go to a Knicks game and you don't have the money and you're worried about gas and packages and groceries and all that stuff, you shouldn't be worried about going to a basketball game. Go watch it at home. Seriously, because it's not for the, let's just say, the impoverished, the median income household. And who gives a fuck? Do you really want to watch monkey ball? Half those people, 80% of them that are black, that sit on those courts and play, that are sit there on their perch to make 20, 30, 40 million, they hate you. You're white. They hate you. Why would you want to, buy a lottery ticket or sell off shit to what? Be at a Knicks game. Let the rich have it. Let President Trump have it. Have fun at it, buddy. Okay? And we're going to cover many other things. I don't really care. Sports ball mania, out the door. All that does is what? Prevent you from seeing the truth. It basically what? Controls your mindset about discussing the real facts of what's going on. It distracts you. It's a divertisement because it keeps you what? Separated. Got to keep them separated. Remember that? Yeah, Wood USA. What's going on? Patty B, good to see you. You're always kind to call-ins. Thank you, Miss B. Thea, what's up? Welcome to six. Thank you for the 600 gold pills. How you doing tonight, Thea? Curious Cat, good evening. Thank you. Thank you for the cookie. How do you feel, Curious Cat, that your mayoral election or your California governorship is about to be stolen right before your eyes? And that's probably what we're made to see. And I digress. Thea, thank you for the cookie. Good to see everybody. What's up? MJ6105 over here on Rumble. Rudy Poo. I know, buddy. What's up? Nah, dog. I dropped the stream. You guys want to call in? Call in. I'll drop it again. What's up, True Terran, my friend? How you doing? How do you feel, True Terran? You're a Californian, okay? Are you angry? Are you pissed off? You should be. It's no more of this stuff. Yeah, nosebleed Knicks tickets are 10 grand. When they're winning. Yeah, we'll cover all that. I'll cover all that. Because the media basically said, well, that's kind of snobbish and snotty and stuff like that. You know what? No, it's capitalism. It is what it is. I don't fucking care because I don't watch the shit. And you shouldn't watch it either. It's garbage. Half those people hate you. With the Jews that run it, the blacks that play the ball, they hate you. Who gives a flying fuck about the NBA? I watch a little college sports, college football. I don't watch college basketball anymore. I used to love it, but I don't watch it anymore. And I barely scratch the surface with the NFL. They got to change their tune about a lot of ways, and I'm sick of it. Yeah, I'm ready for the movie to end. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know what part of the movie we're at. Are we at the extended version? Are we at the director's cut? Is this movie gone into another streamline? I mean, honestly, tell me, True Terran. I don't know what we're seeing right now, but I'm embarrassed what's going on. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and I'm sick of it. Let's cover a couple of things tonight. Here we go. This is President Trump today. He's in Wyoming. And you know what? Good stuff that's happening and stuff, and that's fine. And you know what? Love President Trump and love the fact that there's so many people that support him in some ways that just wait for him. They wait and they wait and they wait. What's up, Linda Perino over on YouTube? You can share and subscribe, like over there, like everywhere out there. If you want to help out the show, please do so. You could do so on pill.net. Drop us a pill or two. Help us out. Let's hear your thoughts, comments, questions. You can call in. You can also help out on Rumble, buymeacoffee.com/wearerise or a Rumble rant. Let's go and get into this. It becomes for Bo Loudon. Breaking, the fire marshals in Wisconsin have been forced to stop Trump supporters from entering the town hall building because of how packed full it is. Of course they are. Watch this.
And I want to point something out here to all the fake news media out there that says President Trump is losing support. And in places like rural areas of America, we are packed.
This is Wyoming.
Here. This is a round table. It's turned into a rally because so many people
come out here.
The venue's packed. The fire marshal's actually stopping people at the door. It's packed outside. And the line past the silos. It is massive. America.
Let me say this, with everything that happened with the hubbub, the hullabaloo regarding the 250th anniversary, and all these people that basically protested I can't find myself because I'm secure. I'm concerned about my viability, my security. I can't sit there, like the Commodores and Brett Michaels and all these fucking piece of shit garbage fucking entertainers. Fuck them all. Fuck them and die. All right? There are people lining up. Regards to their fear of their security or safety, they love this guy. They will show up no matter what, and he will deliver. When everybody else dips out, then you know there was a scam. What they were doing for that 250th anniversary was garbage. They were going to set to embarrass him. I'm glad it's done. When you have droves and droves and droves of people just lining up, and the fire marshal, I understand, you have fire marshal laws. You have these laws in these city states. You got to control it. You don't want a bunch of people, whatever. But I think when you see this, the impact of understanding how deliberate, how amazing this is, tells you nothing is going away. Nothing is dying, okay? Things are what? They're percolating. They're getting what? More impactful. They're strengthening. There's a bind going on. Wonder Twins powers activate. That's what's happening. They continue to activate. Let's go.
Loves ICE. They want to secure America. They want to put America first, and they want to kill terrorists before terrorists come here. Everyone I talked to out there said, finish the job in Iran, stop terrorists from coming here, and most importantly, defeat the terrorists that are already here, the jihadists and the communists that are in our government. God bless President Trump. God bless America.
One of the few people I like at RAV. I don't like too many people at RAV. I think they're all a lot of hullabaloo and bullshit and look at me on Palm Beach and bada bing, bada boom. And come on, stop. This guy, I like this guy. I like the guy. I just like who he is and what he represents and stuff. And so, I have a lot of when I see him and stuff and what I hear him out, I take some of his parlance and his discussion at another level and stuff. There's certain other people I can give two shits over there on RAV. They make me sick, some of them. I think they're all a bunch of fucking bullshit. All right, so let me cover a couple of things right now. as we move on, because I don't know. I'm in a little weird mood. What's up, Sausage Launcher? What's going on? How you doing, everybody out there? Let's continue. So the Democrats, so Nick Sorta puts it out, so I got to put this, revealed pardon a man who was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison for fixing his own truck or tractor. Let me repeat. Nick Sorta puts this out. What the holy fuck? President Trump just revealed today he pardoned a man who was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison for fixing his own truck. The Democrats have a restriction that if you get caught fixing your own tractor, that they will bring you to jail. Did you know that? No, I didn't know that because I don't live in Wyoming. I don't live in Wisconsin. I pardoned a man last week who was sentenced to 7 years in jail because he got caught fixing his car or truck. Listen, as much as I have problems with the upcoming primary in Florida, someone else had sent me something like that. So what are you going to do, Brett? You're a tough guy and stuff. How are you going to vote if your primary candidate doesn't win? Are you going to support a Democrat? Are you fucking kidding me? I loathe any Democrat or independent. I do. I don't trust you, but I'm also concerned about Rhino Cucks that have infiltrated this right-wing party. I know there's a benevolence of Q people that have moved in, or Q party people of Trump massively moving these people in and stuff, but it's going to be too late for Florida. But when I see this is why you should never vote for a Democrat. You just cannot vote for any Democrat. This is a losing party. This is a party that has completely just lost itself 100%. Let's continue.
Look at this guy. I guarantee if you were mandated, let's say you have a tractor that's broken and you know exactly how to fix it.
Did anybody know this?
You wouldn't be too happy about being mandated to bring the tractor back to John Deere or wherever you got it, right? You'd like to fix it.
I believe it's Wyoming. Wyoming.
Democrats a restriction that if you get caught fixing your tractor, they bring you to jail. You know that? You know that I pardoned a man last week.
This is insane.
Who was sentenced to 7 years in jail because he got caught fixing his car or his.
And you wonder why the Democrats push back about what? This anti-weaponization fund, about his own money that he won in a lawsuit against what? And he took less money to take that money to deliver it out, to dole it out to many people like January 6ers, maybe a couple other people, big names that we just saw released from prison. I'm not going to say. But you have to think in some way. These are the crazies. And they call President Trump, oh, they attacked police. No, the police killed people in the crowd. You had 250 undercover UC agents of the FBI that weren't directly linked to the FBI, that were causing chaos and havoc. But you ended up blaming on January 6ers, and then you put most of them in jail, over 2,000. And then you question the veracity of ICE at the facility in New Jersey about the food that they're eating. And they're eating fucking what? Crab cakes, tacos, hot dogs. When the shit was shoved down their throat in jail, they didn't even get fucking what? Healthy water. They didn't get a toothbrush. You have no idea the anger you should have for the Democrats, this government, and what they have done to all of us. Burn it down. I'm in the mood tonight. Take a fucking flamethrower and burn it down. How can you arrest somebody for fixing their own tractor and their own goddamn car? This is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I had to look it up, but this is absolutely insane.
Truck. I said, I like to always say, what did he do? Sir, he was fixing his truck. I said, how long is he getting? 7 years. I said, say it again. It's the first time I've ever heard it. Like
7 years.
Ago, I gave him a pardon because he had to go to jail because he was fixing his tractor or his truck.
You have no idea. What will we do without President Trump? So all the fucking crazies on X. I get the gas, the food, all this stuff. The fence sitters, the wannabe fucking what? Trump people that are really not. They're the independents, the fence sitters. All they can't. What would you do without him? Do you understand the lunacy between whatever you want to call it, the far left woke, the right. Who gives a shit? What would you do without him? This is the only opportunity, a moment in history, that we will see something so grandiose before his time is up. And I think it's going to be a little bit longer than we think it is. I'll leave that in mind. But to understand this, to see this on how we're processing, of how nutty, how lost we are of a country without this man, his administration, and the people that are whether you call it acolytes, loyalties, fealty, yes men, who gives a shit? They're doing things, they're setting things right. Without him, we'd be in a gulag. We'd be in a gulag. We would be in Gitmo. We'd be in some fucking Walmart internment camp. You know it and I know it.
I promise, Ken, if you ever get caught fixing your tractor or truck, I will give you a pardon, okay? No, but these are the crazy Democrats. That's what they want. I terminated the ridiculous so-called diesel exhaust fluid requirement. Does that mean anything? Big, right? Joe is happy, so I want to keep him happy just in case he gets...
So he's got to go through this process of some type of recompense, some type of redress, reparations for all these, let's just say, crazy things that Democrats in, major city-state fiefdoms or all these different places that may be Republican-controlled or maybe what Congress had set forth. He's got to go through on a daily basis to continue to defeat the narrative that has been set up. And it's a very large obelisk, okay? It's a very large, let's just say, protection. It's not like some underbrush. It's a wall of defeat that he has to continue to drill through and bang through to get to the other side to make sure he's fixing all these things. You see the edification, you see the beautification and all the stuff that's going on in D.C. All right, he's gone through that. There are lawsuits and injunctions, and he's still moving forward. And all the deals are going through. He don't care. At this point, all we're hearing is like, well, there's a lawsuit that's stopping it. They're not stopping it. They're just going forward with it. You don't care. Fine them all you want. Because they know it's not going to stop him from doing these things. Did you know they voted 8-1? The D.C., I guess, council that oversees the, let's just say, the repartition of the Golden Arches and all these other things that are out there. It's kind of like the Council of Restoration, historical and stuff. They basically voted 8-1 for moving forward for what he's going to do with the Golden Arches and all these other things. It's just going to be glorious. They can't stop him. They can't. They can issue injunctions anymore. They're not even, let's put it this way, they're not even moving forward with this anymore. They're not even you're not even hearing, no one cares anymore because they know it's going to go to appeals or a thing and it's going to get turned over. So the more and more these people lay out this stuff, they're just moving forward. Go ahead, stop me. Who's going to stop me? What are you going to get? Are you going to get the police to come in there? They're not going to do that. Nobody's going to physically stop you. I'm the president of the United States. These people have my authority to do it. You're not going to get stopped. There's no army rolling in. Here we go. We're moving on today with today's show. So President Trump is calling out California's rigged election. I'm going to show you this. This comes from Nick Sorter. It's ugly, and it's getting ugly by the day. For all my California friends out there on the West Coast, this is it. You should be angry, and I believe something's going to come out of this. President Trump calling out California's rigged election system against Spencer Pratt and Steve Hilton. It's been 4 days, and still they aren't even close to telling you who won. I wonder why.
It was totally rigged. It was a rigged election. Just like
another rigged election. Okay,
right now,
so what's going to happen?
California. Can you imagine? It's 4 days, and they still aren't even close to telling you who won. You know why? Because they're rigging the election. That's why. 4 days.
With this out, without this man, I will continue to say we would have rigged elections, stolen elections. We wouldn't have a fucking country. We wouldn't have a country. Everything that they bitch and complain and nitpick about, without this man, you're not seeing a good goddamn shit of anything. I am angry. And if they steal this, I hope the people that steal it get caught. We know and we're hearing that the USPS tracking system, UPS tracking systems cover all this stuff with all the ballots. So they're watching and are able to see the viability, the the plausibility, the feasibility where they're maneuvering out. So I hope there's going to be indictments and arrests. And if they show that there's fraud, well, what does that do? How bad does that basically throw the apple cart inside out of California and crush this thing and basically arrest the people? What if certain candidates are involved with the steal? Are they going to get arrested? What is going to take place? But whatever it is, it better be big, bold, and beautiful, because I'm not settling for any less. And anybody living in California shouldn't either. All right. Are they going to riot if Spencer Pratt loses and they steal it? They should. I'm going to say you should. White boy summer. Blow it all up. Why not? You got a bunch of monkeys in Texas already starting what? Another fucking BLM because of Kamala Anthony. We'll get to that.
Spain, they had it like, I'm not a big fan of Spain, to be honest with you. It's gone very far left. But they had an election. All the votes were in, similar size to the state of California, a little larger, actually. And every vote was in by 10 o'clock in the evening and counted. You're going to be waiting weeks to get these votes. It's corrupt. Somebody said it's incompetent. I said, no, just the opposite. It's unbelievably competent if you happen to be a Democrat politician, because with their policies, the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And when you look at an election, not even relatively a big election, for one state, for one city, for Los Angeles, they're nowhere close to counting the votes. But you look at what's happening, it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And the people that were supposed to win, bad things are happening. It's a crooked state. We have crooked third world elections in a lot of our states, and we should pass our Save America Act.
And I do believe we're going to pass it, because once this fraud is, let's just say, thrusted out, forward out, it's going to get ugly, and they'll have no choice. They'll be forced to do it. They'll have no choice, kicking and screaming.
And that'll really stop it, too. That'll stop it. That's where you have voter ID. It's where you have birth of, your citizenship. You have to prove your citizenship. I think that sounds good. And also, I added a couple in there. Also, the ballots, the voting, the mail-in ballots, so crooked. They send millions of ballots out all over the place. If you're a Democrat, sometimes you get 6 or 7. If you're a Republican, you have to call up, where are my ballots? It's such a crooked deal. We're third world country. But I added 2 things. No men playing in women's sports. And this is like best of. No transgender mutilization surgery on.
No one's even talking about that anymore. You notice that. We're not even have gay pride anymore and all this other faggoty shit. That's out the door. So I'm gonna respond to you, Wood USA. Pratt is a Hollywood product, Jew-loving Zionist. So, okay, fair enough. But you'd rather settle for the Cuban socialist communist that was mayor, that continues to steal the election, Bassaro, or the third worlder, the Punjab, who sits on the council to help what? Push this narrative even harder, to make it even more batshit crazy. So whatever you want to, let's just say, suggest, and that's fine. Totally fine. I get it. Let the people of L.A. decide on that. But I'm going to tell you right now, what they've been suffering through and what they've been going through, they want to change. And it's not either Abbas or Rahman. All right? Basura. Exactly. That's the point. Basira. Look, what I'm saying is, regardless about the product you loving Zionists, it doesn't even matter. They need a fucking change there. Whatever you want to think, they need something to help them to what? And I do believe something's going to happen. My guess is we're going to see this whole infrastructure, this whole thing, what everybody talks about, watch the water, watch all this stuff. California is on deck, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be the first of many things we're going to see that is going to what? Flip the narrative and discussion to get into what? The greatest amount of voter fraud we've seen in the history of our country, and that is at the epicenter. Epicenter. Yes, it is. and we are about to see it. This is going to be all exposed. It will lead into the midterm elections, and I don't know what's going to take place from it. I don't have my viability to look into that crystal ball, but this will be the offshoot of the craziness, and the arrests will happen because they will pinpoint where all this targeting is, and they're going after it. It's already under investigation. So they know something is up. If they already have people on the ground investigating, they are live tracking this as we speak to everybody out there. All right, let's continue on. I'm going to move on to a couple of things in some way because, I got thrown off course and stuff, but there's a couple of other things that I want to talk about. I'll go to The Guardian right now. I want to stay on certain narratives and stuff. This is basically, I think, important. Trump confirms telling Bill Pulte to fire intelligence community employees. So again, President Trump signed an executive order, a Doge effect on him a couple of days ago, where he's basically readily going to fire as many people as he can. And he's going to use Bill Pulte to do it. And they're not going to be able to have any type of effect or control. They're going to use any type of process to hold on to as they're kicked out the door. So this was asked about the media report. Acting intelligence director has been told to make significant personal changes. So it's no wonder President Trump put the executive order at first, named him acting director, which he will only be a temporary time, but it's basically to get rid of 8,000, most likely, intelligence or intelligentsia or people that are inside that bloviate these agencies in some way. Trump says he wouldn't mind cutting OD&I jobs. Ooh. There you go. And I wonder now if Tom Cotton is right, that we're trimming the fat and he's going to be on board with this. I don't know. I don't know why that is, but it's an actual 9/11 relic when you consider that. So it's possible that there could be some agreement about that, but I wouldn't mind. The size of the office has been way too far, way too long. President Trump reiterating, he told the Wall Street Journal. Let's continue. The Wall Street Journal had told that President Trump wants Bill Pulte, his new acting director, temporary acting of a national intelligence with no national intelligence experience, to cut the size of the office, which has already been significantly scaled back. So when you heard the majority crew with Brasso and Thune and they all get together and do their little majority spin out. And so you heard Tom Cotton. Whether he likes him or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Maybe they're basically forcing the hand of the majority group in the Senate to say, you know what? Maybe we need cuts because we don't like the guy President Trump put in. Bingo. Maybe that makes sense. And maybe they'll do it. The question is, what are they going to do? How are they going to do it? And does this lead to other cuts in the NSA, the CIA, and many other intelligentsia operations that let's just say that bifurcate and hang around, dangling around like a bunch of fucking balls in the wind that need to be shaved off? I mean, look, seriously, we don't know what we don't know. But in an NBC interview, Trump blames Obama for his failure to negotiate with the deal with Iran in some way. Well, I know that's part of it. And that's where we'll get to. I'm not going to jump to this in some way, but I want to show you The Guardian because of the fact is that the overarching discussions that are happening in some way. There was other articles that are on there, but I just wanted to show you a little piece of the puffery that is being pushed out there in some way. Let me show you this. The Storm Redux puts this out, and I think this is a good illustration of what we're talking about. Let's continue on. So it is. A storm has arrived on X, puts this out, and, it's good. President Trump says that Bill Pulte will be DNI only temporarily and said they're interviewing people for the permanent position. The question is, what will that position look like in the near future? If we're to understand that the ODNI is going to be what? Is going to be, redacted in some way. It's going to be brought to heel. It's going to be trimmed in some way. The actual closed quarters of it, the whole operation itself, since it is a 9/11 relic, may not be necessary. Would that benefit CIA, NSA, and other intelligence groups? Yes, in some way. The collection of this intelligence in some way that goes to one, let's just say, apparatus and goes to the president or the NSA advisor. A lot of people don't like that. They like the independent stuff in some way. But President Trump really doesn't listen to any of these agencies. All right. I think in some way you need to understand is that he gets his intelligence from a different source. So whether or not the OD&I either goes away on its own and Bill Pulte does it to put the remaining stake in the heart like a vampire being drowned out in the sun, that's a good thing. Exposing this and blaming it, that's fantastic. But ultimately, in some way, the position is done because you have now certain people in the Senate saying, well, we got to make it a ministerial rule. You know what? President Trump is going to get rid of it completely. Once they fucking cut this into 6 million parts, slice it and dice it up, they'll move off of it. The Senate will sign off of it, and we'll go back to something else or maybe something different. We will find out very soon. So here it is. He made it seem like Pulte's role might get into the bottom of the rigged elections. Ooh, rigged elections, current rigged elections that are happening right now in California.
Up a lot, did a great job. And it's an acting position. It's not a permanent. He's not going to be permanent because, I don't think he'd want to be permanent. But he's a very smart guy, and he may find out some things about the rigged elections, et cetera, et cetera. I think he'd like to do it. I think he wants to do it very much, got a lot of energy. But he'll be very good. Again, it's not a permanent position. Right. We're interviewing people right now, but it's somebody just to take it over for a little while.
Take it over for a little while, but the question is what's going to happen in a little while? If the Senate tries to whittle it down and Pulte comes in and undercuts and underscores and basically deconstructs this agency into a bunch of Lego pieces, we don't know. So what we're hearing is a lot of blather, and does it even matter? Do you even care? What difference does it make? He's not getting really his intelligence from there in some way. Is that really, when you think about it, in June 30th, when Tulsi Gabbard's position is up, when she leaves and she retires from this in some way, what is her wake? What is the wake of her path that she will leave behind, that she will basically have bombs dropping left and right of all this psychological operations that were hidden from all of us? That is what we need to see. And that's what we're about to experience. Let's move on to a lot of different other discussions. So we're seeing right now a lot of pushback on what's going on with President Trump. GOP threatens President Trump unless, and I told you on Wednesday, they're going to use the AG because he's nominated. Todd Blanche is going to be nominated to this position, but unless he condemns January 6ers, so you have certain people like Tom Tillis, who has set himself apart aggressively, antagonistically against January 6ers, anyone who defends them. He's also ripped Bill Pulte. He's also said, hey, look, and I told you, Pulte's going to be out there. You have the nomination of this. I don't know what's going to take place and stuff. So there's going to be a lot of leverage, a lot of give and take and stuff. Hey, look, they don't want to sign the Save America Act. They don't want to do this. So President Trump is basically saying, I'm going to nominate this guy no matter what. So if they come back and say, look, we're not going to nominate him, if he doesn't, he's just going to reappoint him as acting because he could do it. He may go forth to the Speaker House and say, let's recess Congress. That's the Senate and House, so I can get my recess appointments. We might see that blow up, and there might be saving this at this time. We just don't know. In this view, in his own words, everyone that was involved, nothing but thugs, not patriots, not victims. Basically calls the 2,000 people, the rest of everybody there, January 6th, aside from the, and regardless of all the 250 people that were FBI undercover agents that were there in some way, that were UCs or what have you, the extension of the FBI, they're undercovers, they're using them. They're fine people. But everybody there, American citizens, the grandmothers just walked by. The guy who was taking a shit in a dumpster, they didn't even walk in. You're scum, you're garbage. I'm glad Tom Tillis and North Carolina is recognizing that guy is a piece of shit. And when you see him, spit in his face because he's garbage. He is garbage. And I'm like, okay, let's find somebody else to replace him. I understand that Cooper is running, the former governor of North Carolina. There's constant consternation about all this stuff. And are they going to replace him with this? I don't know what's going to happen in the Senate. I really don't. I know Collins just voted for the SAVE Act, and it got 50 votes, but they still lost by a couple because you still had 4 Republicans vote against it. And she figured, why not? I better, because I'm going to get my ass kicked. I'm going to get bagel smeared by a Nazi with a tattoo on me that the Democrats don't know if they like him or not in the senatorial campaign in Maine as we move on. Okay, here it is. Eric Dory puts this out. This is really good because this is kind of like a rediscussion of it. And he goes, boom, President Trump, Mike drops Rhino Senate Tom Tillis after he's learning that Tillis will block Todd Blanche as a general because of January 6th. So I told you that they're going to utilize this in some way to block President Trump because they don't like Pulte. They don't like the fact they want Blanche to say, hey, the January 6ers were a bad party. They were bad people. There's no way in hell that's going to come out. And if in some way, if it does, Todd Blanche should not be AG, or he should be acting AG. Let's be clear about that. Anybody that goes up there that refutes President Trump's pardon should not be AG, should not be acting AG. And I'm quite clear that Todd Blanche, who is a Democrat, who supported President Trump, and he knew going in defending Trump that this was game over for his career, for his livelihood, for his ambition, and everything. His opportunity is now presented right in front of him. He's seeing his future unfold as we think. He fought a lot of people. He fought Pete Hegseth turned out to be a gem. Now Senator Tillis is a loser, so cold he's angry because he basically was forced to leave the Senate. Let's listen to this a little bit.
That's why he didn't run. He didn't run because I wouldn't support him. And he's just an angry man because he's not going to be a senator any longer. He wasn't respected in the Senate. He fought a lot of people. He fought Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth turned out to be a gem. No, Senator Tillis is a loser, stone cold, and he's an angry man because he was forced to leave the Senate because I wouldn't support him, and he quit. So now he's trying to make trouble by, opposing anybody. Todd Blanche is a brilliant guy who everybody likes and everybody respects. And Tillis is always like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He should have done it before when he was a senator. He would have gotten wiped out in a race. But he needed my support, and I said, I can't give you my support. He's not qualified.
Tom Tillis is garbage, and he's going away regardless. Nevertheless, nonetheless, it doesn't even matter. And so I think that the question will be the timetable about when he is being, let's just say, nominated and when the nomination process goes. Will it be before the election or after the election? Probably it's going to be before. That's my guess for everybody to see. That's just my guess. Now, is it going to be in July? I would say if there's a possibility it's going to be somewhere, it's going to be before Congress dips out in August. So I'd say between this month and next month, you're probably going to see something in that favor. All right. So the question is, what's going to happen? Congress dips out in August, so we'll see what will take place and who will follow. And will we get a recess appointment from the House, from the Speaker of the House? And if that happens, President Trump will be able to recess all his appointments and bifurcating both the Senate and the House. And I think that's going to happen. I think it's possible. I think we should consider it. Let's listen to this. So Bill Maher, I'm not a Bill Maher fan. I'm not just because he's become less woke, more realistic. He went back to his roots of being a true JFK Democrat, in some way. And which is, if you think about what JFK Democrat is, a conservative in these days in some way. But listen to Bill Maher saying, he says Q, not QAnon, but he says QAnon deserves an apology. It's actually Q and Anon, you idiot. But he admitted they were right about elites running a pedo rig. He can't believe him saying that. But where does QAnon go for this? He's on the Stephen A. Smith show, another piece of shit. I don't like that. I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't like that George Jefferson monkey because he has some vitriolic stuff that he says about President Trump. And you know what? All these people that make a lot of money that are black, that are up there, they had that George Jefferson ego, that mentality. Oh, they don't like white people either. They're like, yeah, I had to step over and stab many people. And if I wasn't stabbing them for real, I'd be doing it, honestly behind their back or knocking them out. So I don't really care about these people. That's why I don't watch the monkey ball, the sports ball, and all this. I don't partake in this. You're worried about $8,000 to watch or $10,000 to get a ticket for a Knicks game. Fuck New York. Who gives a fuck about New York? It's little Cuba now. I don't even call New York Cuba. It's New Cuba. That's what I call it. Who gives a flying fuck? I'm glad President Trump loves New York. Yeah, make it as Cuba as possible. Make it as great with Mondami. I understand that guy is there as central casting. I don't really fucking care. I live in the greatest state in this fucking union. I live in Florida. And I'm concerned what's going to happen very shortly with our gubernatorial election. And I worry about it every day. Let's listen to this shit.
Where does QAnon go for the apology?
Can you believe it?
You know, I mean
this is
QAnon,
crazy.
which
Do you
believed
believe
in
this or not?
lots of really ridiculous things, like, Democrats eat babies.
Yeah.
But they were kind of harping a lot.
Wait, he said Democrats eat babies. He did say that. Oh, it's ridiculous. But he did throw that out there. Years ago, you couldn't say that.
On the idea that the elites are running this pedophile ring. And I mean, I made jokes about them. I also made jokes after the Epstein thing happened originally that were on the idea of, obviously there was some smoke there. Well, now with all that's come out in the last couple of weeks, there's a little more than smoke. It does look like anybody who was at all able to get in touch with Jeffrey Epstein, he was the man.
We're doing it.
They just, yeah. I mean, and then they all lied about it. Everybody has, and the arrogance also of thinking they could just use their real name in an email, which they did, and didn't try to couch it in, when I used to get pot before it was legal, it was like, I'd like 2 shirts, please, and no seeds in the shirts this time. We had to sort of codify it. No, they're just openly talking in emails about this sort of, sexual perversion. And
honestly, why is Bill Maher talking about it, Trusty Turnup? He's a fucking idiot. His production company is Little Two Red Shoes or something like that. So why is he out there defending them in some way? I don't buy it, but he's out there. He's on this Stephen Pimp show in some way. And Stephen Smith, Stephen Pimp, he made some comments about President Trump not going to the Knicks game, almost in a threatening comment, and we'll discuss that later on. Let's move on. Let's fast track, like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill, comments, questions, or concerns. Let me drop the actual StreamYard again if you want to come on and not be scared after what I told you today. I was kind of like annoyed. I figured, that I don't actually, since we started the show, there are many people, I don't berate anybody when they come on. I'm actually nice to them, let them talk and blah, blah, blah. It's not like someone's, and we don't really have people call in and threaten to kill me. I would just cut that off. I mean, I wouldn't sit there let's go. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't have enough time to discuss these things as I move on. So President Trump, this comes from Voz.com. California primaries are in deep trouble. Yes, they are, ladies and gentlemen. They are in deep trouble. Accuses Democrats of trying to steal wins from, and I'm just telling you right now, they're going to steal it. It's going to happen, and don't be surprised about it. Now, the question is, what happens thereafter? That is the most important thing. It's not about them stealing it. It's about what we're going to do about the steal. So he charged strongly against Democrats following the last election developments in California, which added thousands of votes to the blue party candidates, who shortened the gap with their Republican competitors ahead so far. The president directly accused the Democrats of trying to steal the governor of California primary and the mayoral of Los Angeles primary away from 2 great Republican candidates. Look, the Democrats are at it again. They're trying to steal the governor of primary and the mayoral of Los Angeles. Trump announces the final result that may be delayed for weeks. Weeks. It's an embarrassment. Many countries, including Colombia and France and Florida, get it done that day. No one sees this as we got to fix all this stuff. No, it's because you're rigging it. We get it. We're not that fucking stupid. All right? Whatever you want to sell to us in some way to disprove the narrative that it's we got to make sure it's right. It's, make sure the element of this. No, it's not. How can you not get this right at the moment's notice? More than 24 hours after the polls closed, the primary to replace Gavin Newsom continues to have no single candidate who could soar the presence in the polls in November. Steve Hilton continues to lead, although he has seen his Democrat rivals Xavier Becerra and Tom Steyer significantly increase. Honestly, I want the hammer to drop so hard in California. I mean, honestly, are we going to riot? Are you going to riot? We should be rioting. I want to see riots in LA. We should be rioting for them stealing the election, just like you did for George Floyd. Or what? The guy Brown in Ferguson. Oh, because it's not black. It ain't black or Hispanic enough. Because white people don't do that. They're smart. Asian people don't do that. They're smart. They don't burn down businesses. They don't destroy, rob, and steal. Because they understand what took place under a fucking Cuban refugee or a Cuban what? Monster dictatorship. I'm sick of these people. I'm sick of these people. We better see the greatest pushback in history very soon in California. I need to see arrest. I need to see the most absurd, crazy shit that's going to be revealed. I need to see Black Hawk helicopters land in the cities and pick up these people. I need to see the truth. We know right now something is up. I'm going to show it to you. Pepe Deluxe put this out, and he's feeling the same thing I'm feeling. Breaking: Steve Hilton, who was placed in first place after the election day for governor, is now projected to fall in third place. This is voter fraud. We're witnessing 2020 all over again. And that's the whole point. We are going to interface this, cross-sect this. There's going to be a lot of intersectionality with what? This stolen election, what happened in 2020, and we're going to get to the root of this. This is going to open up a can of worms and a lot of reasons that they don't want, but their continuance to do this over and over again is leading to their downfall. And this is going to showcase to a great many people of what California has done, not just currently right now, what they're planning to do in the future, and what they have done in the past tense. Yes, that's what it's all about. So now an assistant attorney, U.S. attorney, is inside Los Angeles ballot processing center as U.S. attorney S.A. Lil announces multiple federal investigations in fraud in California. They already know. They already know.
Oh, that would be. I mean, we can't enter the room, but we can. But the closest we can be is point me in the direction where that is. Yeah. So this is our bullpen area, and this is the closest we can be.
Yeah, come on in.
Oh, that would be.
Think about the level of fraud that the people are participating. It's not just the people who are in charge of doing the fraud. It's the actual people that are physically doing the fraud, physically manhandling the fraud. They got to be arrested too. And they're going to be what? They're going to be scapegoated because they're going to come out and say, you know what? Hey, I was told to do it. I was told I was paid to do it. I had to do it. I had no choice to do it. And that's what's going to happen. It's always getting to the higher whatever. But you still have to arrest these people, and they no longer could be involved in any type of election because of their interference and because of their participation. We should not sit there and give them quarter. Just because you admitted that you committed fraud doesn't mean you get a pass because you, what? You fucking ratted on other big names and stuff? That's great. That's fantastic. But you need to go down in the ship. Okay? Maybe not at the bottom, but you need to go down with the ship too and never be allowed to be around an election scenario once again. I don't know how you feel about that. Let's say hello to a couple of people out there. Yeah, post office is going to catch him, Alita. I know. Duback. How in California is there more votes counted so far than registered voters in that state? What the fuck? I agree. What the fuck either? I mean, honestly, if you're living in California, you should be pretty pissed off and angry and frustrated at what you're seeing right now. It's an embarrassment. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. And you know what? Our election system is a joke. You know it and I know it. And without President Trump exposing it or bifurcating or moving past it to win his elections again, it's over. When he says America is done, it would have been done. You're seeing California is done until you arrest the criminal interference of what is taking place. You shut this down. You're never going to fix California. It's only going to get worse. Okay? You might as well make it a penal colony, like Escape from LA, like Escape from New York. Say, hey, everybody, leave. We're going to seal up the border from the basin all the way down to New Mexico, to Mexico, all the way up to the North American region. We're going to seal it up. We're going to close it off around Oregon. You're going to be locked in. You're going to be trapped. Make it a penal colony. Just drop a bomb on it. Who fucking cares? Get out while you can. If you can't fix it, then you might as well mix it up. I don't know what that's going to be, how that's going to be, but California, when everybody looks at it currently right now, it's a dead stick. How are we going to fix it? I don't know. I don't know. Unless you make arrest, you show me you're doing something, then what difference does it make? No one fucking cares. And I don't care about Spencer Pratt being something for Hollywood and the Zionists and all this other stuff. He's a voice that is what? Pushing a narrative, saying and suggesting, hey, we got a crime problem. We got this problem. We got that problem. We got all this stuff. But no one's wanting to look at it. No one's wanting to do it. But they came out in droves to support him, and they're stealing this election. Remember, Spencer Pratt, essential casting. As I move on, as I digress, let's get into a couple other things. Here it is. I'm going to show you a couple of articles. People Magazine, this is what we're talking about today. And I'm just not reading these. I'm just going to show you the headlines. Donald Trump basically accuses California Democrats of stealing the governor and LA elections as slowly counted. So you're starting to see the rags push this narrative. They want to what? Utilize the agitprop to continue to foster the idea that nothing to see here. Move on. It's just basically, it's how we do things. Listen to this one. This one's a Butte, Clark. All right? Los Angeles County Register on why it takes so long to count votes. This is what you should be mad about.
So long. What do you want to say to them?
Well, actually, in truth, we're ahead of the pace that we've been in past elections. The reality is in California, the election laws allow voters the greatest opportunity and options for when and where to cast their ballot.
At LA County's ballot processing center, about 400 employees are working 10 to 12-hour shifts following Tuesday's primary election. Dean Logan is the county's registrar recorder and county clerk.
It's pretty close to nonstop, pretty close to around the clock. Obviously, for transparency purposes, we don't want to be counting ballots in the dark of night.
Californians can vote in person or use drop-off boxes.
You believe that?
Or by mail. Professor Christian Gross is the director of USC's Democracy and Fair Elections Lab. He says a lot of people waited until the last minute to mail their ballots.
The U.S. Postal Service has gotten slower. They have less resources.
You're right. Trustee Turnham can't vote out what is rigged. And when it's deemed rigged, you'll have a new process put in place. That's the point.
Mail takes longer than it used to, especially coming from places that are more rural or not in the cities, but even in the cities.
The professor says the process may feel a bit slower this time around because there are so many tight contests like the governor's race and LA mayor, so projections can't be made.
By this weekend and early next week, the bulk of those ballots should be processed.
This is such agitprop and propaganda. The idea they continue to sell this narrative is such bullshit. It really is such bullshit. It's almost embarrassing. And people bite it hook, line, and sinker when many states around this great, beautiful union, settles their election results, whether midterms or presidential or primaries, that fucking night. You're right, Trustee Turnip. This apple cart is going to be unturned in such a way. It's going to cause consternation. It's going to flip out California, and the truth's going to spell out. You're going to have rest, and people are going to have new elections because a new system of monitoring will be in place. Once this is overturned, maybe California may not be able to participate in the midterm elections as we go through the process and to look back and see, hey, did Steve Garvey win over fucking Adam Schiff? How far are we going back in this fucking time machine? We'll see. But it's embarrassing what we're seeing right now. How can anyone be okay with this kind of incompetence? You're absolutely right. It is so embarrassing. And what I find painstakingly gross is they think we're stupid. They think Californians are stupid. They think people in general, they could just continue to pull the wool over their eyes and say, nothing to see here. It's okay. That's how we do business. It is embarrassing. You should be embarrassed. Your emotional intelligence should be raised higher. Your EQ and IQ should be like, what the fuck is going on? This no longer can continue. Your eyes see it. We all perceive what's going on. But yet it's saying, well, that's how we process things. No, that's how you're going to be processed out. The longer you keep this up, the more the investigation goes, and the more eyes are going to be on this, and the more exposure, and they're all going to be caught. And when they're all caught, and this is all going to come out, nobody's going to be elected. Nobody's going to be this. They're going to arrest quite a few people. And that is a perp walk I would love to see. Let's move on. Okay. Jesse Waters puts this out because I want to play some videos. I'm running out of time. I got to get to other stuff that is just germane, that is going to blow your mind. So breaking: California had an election. Nobody knows who won. Days later, the governor's race is still stuck in ballot counting. Let's listen to this.
The governor's race is stuck.
Stuck!
At only 50. Well, now it just went up to 57% of ballots counted. LA mayor, 66% counted. Well, it says 62 there. I guess maybe they updated it a little bit, but no one is in a rush. They're just going to slow walk a winner. That doesn't create trust.
It's insane. This election system that they've created here is just another monument to their uselessness, another version of high-speed rail. The whole thing is insane. I mean, the fact that you're sending out mailed ballots to every single person on a voting roll that is wildly inaccurate, the whole thing is a joke, just like pretty much everything else they try and do here.
It's not a mystery. It's slow by design. Gavin rewrote the law to send out millions of ballots to people who didn't even ask for one. And then the ballots can come in a week after the election and they still count.
Why does it take so long to count ballots in California compared to other states? 80% of voters return their ballots by mail. Each one of them has to go through a signature verification process. If there's a problem in the signature verification process, then you're alerted and you have 10 days to fix that process to come what's called cure your ballot. All that takes time. Eventually, all those ballots come here where they are officially counted.
Then the local registrars gum up a bit worse. They're not required to release daily updates.
How is that possible?
So each county releases results.
How is that
whenever
possible?
they feel like it. There's no real deadline to finish the count or to tell people what the votes
No
are.
update.
They have about a month
information
to finish. And in the last 24 hours, only 3% more of the vote came in.
I'm going to move on with that because I don't want to belabor the time. That's a four-minute show. It's embarrassing. It's sad in some ways. I am completely, when I look at California, and I feel for the people in California that have to live with this fucking bullshit, this garbage, this rhetoric, this nonsense, to push forth the narrative, to suggest that these people are so fucking stupid, to suggest that people in LA are completely gone, and then the people in California in general as a whole are just garbage people, because this is how we count. This is how we do it. And there's no pushback. Trust us. We're doing the right thing for the sake of you and the sake of California. It's such an joke. It's such an embarrassment. I find it offensive. That would never happen in Florida. I'm going to tell you, it would never happen in Florida. We had the hanging Chad. We had the crooked penis. We had all that stuff in 2000 with Bush v. Gore. But that changed rather quickly with Bush's nomination and election and certification. And whatever you want to take it, whether you look at Bush as this guy, the right guy, or Gore as he is now, either one would have been worse for this. Either one doesn't matter. All right, from my perspective, as an independent at that time that could not vote for either one of them, I voted for the Green Party because I was embarrassed because I'm never voting for a Bush. And Al Gore was adult. Everybody hated him. He was crazy. At that time in 2000, they hated him. He was crazy. So we had no choice. We have choices now. You have opportunities now. There are many people on ballots that are the right people to go. And this president has shown you a path. It's the path of least resistance. All right? You either swim down stream, going with what? Going with, all this other things that, with the traditional way, all these different ways and stuff, but you don't see what the path is really about. You don't fixate on. He's given us a window. He's given us an opportunity. He's given us a quarter. He's given us time. I see you, owl eyes, but apparently your device is not connected. Try back again, and then I'll bring you on, my friend. Okay, let's move on here. Let's see what else is here. Okay. All right, did Jesse. All right, here it is from Patriot. This is Patriot Oasis puts this out. Again, I'm going to move off of this real quickly as we jump ship. Leading gubernatorial candidate in California, Steve Hilton, just revealed, Secretary of State said it'll be 35 days. All right. India has 640. They do it in a day. I mean, listen to what he says here. It's totally different.
To this absolute shambles of an election count. It's actually way worse than the president just mentioned. It's not 6 or 7 or 8 days. Here's from the Secretary of State's website today, 35 days.
Oh,
that's the plan.
35 days. That's the most embarrassing thing you ever seen. When he said India has 640 days and they do it in a day. You know it's rigged. It's rigged to the tilt. They're doing it to separate, keep you separated. That's what it's about. Thank you, Theo, for the 200 gold pills. How you doing tonight? All right, let's move on. Let's get more to what Alpha Omega Pill is talking about. And we're talking about the most disgusting, disgraceful person right now that we're seeing. But I want to leave you with this before we jump ship into a new discussion. Dana Bash proves to you why. And it's actually explicitly saying to you why these elections. That's part of my show tonight, and I wanted to cover it exclusively about that. But listen to this. Dana Bash really just said this on CNN. Republican votes tend to be counted culturally first. Then once the votes are legally, it looks different. Wow. Yeah, fake and gay. It's not unusual for California. It's not a sign of fraud. President Trump is just using a slow pace so information about election integrity. Let's listen to this a little bit.
% of the votes in the governor's primary have been processed. Right now, Republican Steve Hilton and Democrats Javier Becerra, Tom Steyer are battling for the top 2 spots in advance of the general election. Now, if this count looks familiar to you, it's because it's nearly identical to the one we showed you at this time yesterday. For California voters or political junkies like us, it's frustrating. But I just want to be clear, it is not unusual for California.
Jeff Greenfield, we are making calls on the California races, going to the boards now. CNN is declaring that when all is said and done, Barbara Boxer will have saved her seat in the United States Senate as a Democrat from California.
In the California governor's race, Gray Davis, this is a pickup for the Democrats, a big win, the biggest state in the country.
Is not a sign of fraud. President Trump is using the slow pace to sow misinformation about election integrity, writing today, quote, there's big cheating by Democrats in California under investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles. Why the vote counting delay? A panel is back here.
Listen to this garbage.
Patrick, as we discuss this and just kind of put a finer point on it, not to say that it's not, as I said, frustrating and sort of inconceivable that it takes so long. It is not new. If you look at past elections, going back to 2010, Kamala Harris won after 22 days. 2018, 30 days for key House race with Valadao to be called LA mayoral race. Karen Bass was on the ballot then. It took 8 days. U.S. House 3rd District, 14 days. 45th District of the U.S. House took 21 days.
It's a joke. It's an embarrassment. They think you're really stupid. They think people in California are so fucking stupid. And you know what? They're not stupid, because I got a lot of Californians here that make a lot of smart comments and stuff. And I fucking despise CNN when they basically are saying that, hey, that's how it's done. And we're supposed to fucking swallow it. And they're not alone. They're not alone in this process. There are other West Coast states that operate in this matter. I would say Washington and Oregon and many others that are blue state fiefdom counties. Thank you, Theo, for the 200 gold pills and the 700 gold pills. Thank you, Trump one, for the cookie. Let's continue on. I'm completely just annoyed with the idea that we are basically propagating the notion that it's okay. This is how we do things. It is not okay. This is simply complete and utter fraud, and they're lying to your fucking face and telling you if you don't suck this in, you don't fucking slurp it down like a fucking 7-Eleven gulpy, then you know what? You're the idiot. You're the fool. No one's buying that. No. No one is buying this anymore. These people should be strung and hung up and put on what? Pitchforks. They should be on sticks like Vlad the Impaler. So as people move through the counties of all these areas to see all these people excommunicated and what? Deceased for their fucking crimes and participation of rigging and stealing elections and destroying the infrastructure, the fealty of the community, the property damages, and what? Lying to the people of California. Bring them up, hang them up. I'm ready to go. Bring back spaghetti westerns. Listen, we need to start arresting people. We need to start what? Physically getting out there in people's faces like they do to us. I want to see an uptick of vigilantism because we're not arresting people. Something needs to be done. Yes, something needs to be done. When is it going to happen? Your life, liberty, and freedom are on the table. Where is the justice? I'm tired of the expose. Well, it's all made for us to see and swallow and understand. When are you going to arrest these people? When are these people going to just disappear and we got a new fucking process? When is that going to happen? I'm glad Bill Maher salutes QAnon. Well, how's that working right now? Are we being distracted? What is being exposed? Yes, it leads to the 26th midterm election. That's fantastic. But if you don't arrest these people, if nothing is done, you don't overturn the apple cart of truth exposing this nonsense, this will just continue. I want to see arrest very soon. Just like J.D. Vance is doing, just like Dr. Oz, just like RFK Jr., just like many people in the Justice Department, Todd Blanche, the FBI, are going after the fraud, all the grift and the graft. Now it's time for election. Let's see the election deniers, okay, be exposed. Let's see all the election, let's just say stealers. What are we doing? Let's continue. I'm just so fucking angry. I'm tired of seeing another election being stolen. I can't handle it. It won't happen on my watch. Not in Florida. No, it won't. No, it won't. No. Hey, look, we're at a time. We're at a pivotal point right now. Let me get my collective head. We're at a pivotal point right now going into this midterm. We can either lose the House, we can lose the Senate. I know that you don't like half the people, most of the people in the House. Neither do I. I can't stand any of the senators. I mean, Marco Rubio, who used to be in the Senate, I actually like him now that he's not in the Senate. I mean, I got one okay. I don't know about Ashley Moody. Rick Scott, he was an okay governor. I actually like him as a senator. I'm not through with them, but I could do worse. Ashley Moody, I don't know. Whatever. I hope she wins. I don't want a Democrat there. But I think ultimately how we structurally look at these things, how we deconstruct these things and stuff in some way, we know what the alternative. The alternative is always fucking worse. It's so bad that when you look at Democrats, you just can't vote for them. You rather hang yourself, shoot yourself. You rather do something that is so absurd than vote for them. But yet we're caught in the crossfire, in the crosshairs of dealing with what? The untenable situation of dealing with rhino cucks, never Trumpers, anti-MAGAs, America last, whatever. We are caught in the crosshairs of what? Trying to move through this and figure this out. I say to everybody right now, California has to be settled before November. We need arrest. We need total investigations. We need to prove that this whole thing was a rigged operation. It needs to be exposed completely. Watch the water, whatever the fuck that means. Watch California. Watch this. Yeah, just arrest people. All right. And that exposes it. Blow this fucking thing open because we can't have this before November. So there's a real hope for California SCOTUS. Here we go. And election month. Wow. So right now, the U.S. Supreme Court is preparing to rule in a major case. This comes from MJ Truth, called Watson versus Republican National Committee, What the case is about: federal law has long set a clear election day for president, Senate, and House races, the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Yes, it's built in. But some states, including Mississippi and California, allow mail-in ballots that are postmarked. Pennsylvania did that too, and they shut that down by election day. And it's still being counted after they arrive. Mississippi gave a 5-day business grace period. Challengers argue that this violates the federal law and says ballots must actually be received by election day. I mean, no countries do this, but it implies that California and the country, Supreme Court has heard the arguments in March, and most judges appeared ready to side with the challengers. If they rule that way, expected this month, it would strike down those post-election day counting. But this whole argument that is about to be rendered by next Wednesday or Thursday, is it going to be too late? And will this be retroactive applied? That's the consideration, and that's the plausibility. That means no more ballots keep trickling in for days or weeks. How impactful? Let's hear this.
There is a Supreme Court case pending right now. The court's already heard it. We're waiting at this end of the term in June. We get all of these last decisions, the big ones. This one came out of Mississippi, and it deals with a state law that says how long you can count ballots after Election Day. If they're postmarked, what the grace period is there. So I can't wait. We're going to get opinions next Thursday. Maybe that's in the pile, but it's certainly something that could, be a big resounding ripple effect across the country based on what they decide in Mississippi.
Yeah, this all changed during COVID. And California changed, like they were on steroids, the way they were changing their election laws in 2001, just extending the grace period that they were giving so many.
A lot of states went on steroids because of COVID. No one goes to the polls. Wear your mask. Just mail in the ballots. I went to the polls. I know what happened. I know what they did in my fucking state. And I fucking filed a complaint. I know. And I'm angry to this day about it. I'm still angry about this day in 2020. Yeah, I'm going to stroke out, do back. Call in. Let's see. Is Allies here? Are you here, Allies?
Can you hear me?
Yes. I'm sorry you were here, but it just didn't pop up right now. I'm sorry. What's going on? Happy Friday. How you doing? I'm stroking out. Don't mind me.
I know I'm doing better than you.
You're doing better than me. That's great.
So, yeah, I'm going to give you my thoughts about this election stuff. So, I think it was anticipated they were going to steal the election because, of course, why wouldn't they? Mm-hmm. They don't have a choice. They have to steal the election because they're all going to swing. I think that, this is my opinion, I think that they're going to have to go through with the continued rigging and probably even certifying the election to the point that I don't think they can actually be arrested unless these elections are certified. But I think they're being watched. I think they got all the information. I think they know everything that they're doing. What I think is going to, and this is me, what I think is going to happen is I think that you're right. There's going to have to be arrests before we actually have our primary election. And I think what's going to end up happening is probably there's going to have to be a pause on the general election for 2026. I think it's going to have to be paused. We're going to have to, because we can't.
I've said this on my podcast with Marshall, that I said that the election could be frozen, that I said many times that it could be paused or we might not have one based on the continuing relevance of scenarios that will unfold of the release of information, not just of 2020, but what you're suggesting now. Yeah. I think that is clearly, wow, I'm glad that I'm not the only person that is completely just like, Jermaine, that had that clear thinking in some way. But you're right. I'm concerned in some way that we're not going to have the election, but I've already basically given up to the idea that we're not going to have one. But you're right. They have to certify it in order to go arrest these people. That's a good point.
And we can't have any more elections where the criminals are put in charge. So I think the elections are going to have to be certified, and then they're going to have to do the arrests and do the prosecutions, and they're going to have to show the proof of who actually won, how it happened. I think it's going to go ahead and tie right into 2020 as well. But I think that so I'm not really that concerned about the election and all this kind of stuff. I really ain't. What I'm more concerned about is
with 2020 or the current
Either-
election in 26 or California's election.
either one of them, because I think they're all
Oh,
going to.
okay.
I think they're all going to go down. Okay.
Okay.
I think they're all going to swing. They're all going to go down, and this is going to get sorted out. My biggest concern is that getting to that point. So they, we're not only doing a takedown in our country; it's a global takedown. So Trump's got a lot on his plate. And I think that my biggest concern is how are they going to fight back? Are we going to have dirty bombs? Are we going to have more biologics? Are we going to have, because I had heard that there was 3 nukes they still haven't found or something. And I remember when Obama was in office.
Where was this at? I mean, where specifically you're referencing that? That's what I'm trying.
I just, I have been watching this stuff since 2008.
Okay. Okay,
It's
we'll move
been
forward.
almost-
I want to
it's
continue
almost-
with what you're saying because I really like where you're going with the election. I actually agree with you. I never believed that the 2026 is going to unfold the way we think it is. In fact, I always felt that we're going to be under martial law before that, and I continue with believing that because they're now, New Jersey's going to get the National Guard very soon, and as they should. And we're starting to see the race riots for the summer pop up. And I think regardless of what happens with Carmelo Anthony, they're going to spin this. They're going to spin this with other areas, with many other black people that are right now under indictment. They're about to go through their trial, their jury trial in some way. So I think that we're about to. It's going to be a hiccup. It's going to be quelled, but you're going to see a lot of expose on this, and a lot of people are going to be completely divided. And I think the pushback is going to be grandiose, where we're actually going to have a different narrative before that election, if it ever takes place.
So Obama, he had, I don't know if you've seen those trucks where they look like tractor trailers or whatever, and the tops of the trucks can actually peel back, and you can actually shoot one of those missiles out of the top.
Yeah, I've seen those. The dump trucks that open up, they go open up in the flaps. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
So, with Obama, and they have got so much stuff in place. They've already got their underground bunkers. They're already ready to go underground. They've got their food. I remember when a lot of them were going into these Walmarts, and they had teams of them that they were going in with shopping carts, and they were just stripping the stores, and the staff wasn't able to do anything about it. So they're already ready to go underground. The good guys, the bad guys, whatever, they're ready to go underground. So I think what Trump's trying to do, I think they've got everything as far as the election. I think the bigger concern is what could jump off. That he doesn't want to see us dead. He wants minimal damage. He wants minimal death to, the American people, and really globally, even like what he's doing with Iran. He's trying to not, just bomb the shit out of Iran and kill everybody. So I think there's moves, there's counter moves. I think that they're still monitoring everybody. They're trying to figure out who's going to do what move. I think they're still probably trying to find biologics, just like they did in LA when they came in and they came out of the helicopters and lowered themselves down and did that. They also did it in New York City. And we even had a situation here in Raleigh. Now, this was years ago, when some girl was just happened to be walking her dog, and there was a old abandoned hotel on Capitol Boulevard that you thought was abandoned. It had a fence around it. Nothing was going on. Well, one night this girl was walking her dog, and she actually got video of the helicopters coming in, dropping down. There was gunfire. Helicopters went up, and it disappeared. And never heard nothing about it on the news. Nothing.
What city was this?
This was in Raleigh. Okay.
And this is where you're located in? Is that you have a
I'm
friend?
outside Raleigh. So
Okay, so you know somebody that was speaking on to you, or do you heard
no,
this?
she posted it, and when
She posted it. Okay.
when she posted, I just happened to be on Twitter at the time, and I got it, and I went ahead and I posted it. And
What year was this?
Shoot, this was
I'm just trying to understand the dates and stuff because I don't.
This may have been during Trump's first term.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, but and back then, they were scrubbing the internet. They were scrubbing everybody's Twitter. I mean, I was kicked off Twitter. I don't know how many times, so I don't
Me
even
too.
mess with it.
Me too.
I don't mess with
mean-
it no more. I got tired of them shadow banning me and taking my followers, and I'm just sick of it.
Yeah.
So I'm just over it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was going to show you something with the AI. The NBC has put out that even Anthropic, that most of the people on X are bots anyway. So you're talking if you don't know them, like personally, if you don't actually physically see them, don't know that they exist, they're most likely a bot. You know what I'm saying? So anybody that you're communicating outside the normal source of information, it's just, that's the bottom line. And I think that's why a growing amount of people are leaving X to go to Substack, and they're writing their own germane subject matter and stuff. I mean, I'm shadow banned on there. I mean, I've had 4 times on there, but I mean, I use articles and stuff to parlay information. I don't really care. I'm not really on there corresponding and dealing with people and getting into like all these vitriol fights about all this other wasteless time. And to me, I read 300 peer articles and articles a day. Literally, I have a commensurate amount of information that I put together where I can scroll through at least a day to confine throughout. And I use an emblematic amount of AI to sort through what I want to utilize for what I want to discuss germane to the current topics of today. And so I will read a great amount and utilize that as my inference of discussion. But the problem is that I have to be careful with the articles now, because a lot of the articles now are being proffered under these types of AI bot scenarios. So you don't know if the articles are being feigned out in some way falsely. And that's why I have to look back to multiple sources to make sure, hey, let me look at that, because I don't really take every article up, every discussion that's crazy. I don't do that. I try to focus on a stream of consciousness that I dwell into. And, tonight was what we're talking about. I want to get into the other stuff that I want to get into regarding Kamala Anthony and the race war that we're about to enter into. Do you believe in some way, allies, that there's a possibility that we're going to enter into some type of race war this summer, whether it's necessarily not just a black-white thing, or just, let's put it this way, what we're seeing in New Jersey because of what happened with the governor and the mayor basically saying, yeah, we don't need, we'll just let everything go. They had it under control, and they said don't curfew. And now President Trump is talking about moving in the National Guard. So when you start to see an opportunity where the National Guard moves into one state, all right, that makes my ears percolate in some way, because then we're going to start to see that the possibility that they're going to do this in other areas, and this could be contingently, I think, brought forth into the summer. I mean, look, I'm leading to the idea if we don't have an election, then we'll have martial law. Your thoughts?
Well, you know about the 15 cities, right, that they're saying may not ever come back.
I understand. It's not just 15 cities. There's about 25% of this population that is gone.
There's going to be more cities, but eventually it's supposed to be condensed into pretty much 15 cities. And, of course, New York City is one of them. Mm-hmm. But so what do I think? I think they're going to try to do a race war, because why wouldn't they? They've done it. All they do is rinse and repeat, right? So I think that's one of the things they're going to try to do. The whole thing is not to take the bait. And, you got to remember, too, that Trump also has these can't remember what they're called, readiness forces or whatever.
Ready action forces that the National Guard are working with the Army. Ready action forces that, I forget what they are, but they're National Guard people first, working with military adjacent people. I don't know if it's Marines or Army, what have you, but there are people. Yeah.
A lot of special forces. And then, there's the marshals. There's a lot of marshals, and we still do the posses, whatever. So I think there's a backup plan to quell what might jump off. But I think the bottom line is just to be prepped and ready, have your water, your medicine, your food, blah, blah, blah.
Do you believe it happens during the recess? Here's another thing. I mean, they go to recess in August. But what happens if President Trump recesses them early? Ask Speaker Johnson, recess Congress so I can get my appointments. Does he wait to them to dip out completely during August? And just says, and then when they dip out, because remember, the Senate stayed in tow, at least a good majority of them, but he might say to them, like, listen, recess them in August, so let them all go so I can get all my appointments. And then let's figure it out after the month. And they come back at sometime in September, and that's before the election in November. And then we're in this. Or is it just basically like, you guys need some time off for a while, and let's sort this out. Don't come back.
Here's the thing. There's a rule. This is what I heard. There's a rule that even if you recess them, as long as somebody comes in like every 3 days or something like that to gavel them in, then they're not necessarily recessed.
But you can block them. You can block them. That's what I've been hearing, that you can block them under the Sergeant at Arms. There's a possibility that you could just recess them and then block them. I mean, will Speaker Johnson do that? I doubt it, but that is something that I've heard too, that they can, discuss this in some way. But look, it's neither here or there. I'm just saying, with the continued consternation of the fraud, with the escalation what we're having, I'm hearkening back to another summer of 2020, a 2.0 scenario. But I think it will be quelled. I think it'll be brought down. I'm like you, never believed that we're going to have a 2026 election. And how can you have it under the guise what we're seeing with all the fraud in California? You can't. You can't. You just can't. Because if this is allowed to happen, which it will be, and it's allowed to be certified, as you said pointedly, all right, then we can't have an election. So I think basically under the pretext and how they're going to look at this and say investigations are all over the place, could President Trump saying, I'm shutting down the elections? Could Speaker Johnson say we're shutting down the election based on the fraud and all, expose all this stuff and then shut this down for a time being? Will that fly? And if that doesn't fly, we'll have martial law because of all the infighting, or let's put it this way, the crazies on the streets.
He's probably going to have to do an executive order, just like they're not going to pass the Save America Act or whatever. He's probably going to have to do an executive order, and then that's when all this stuff is really going to jump off. Because if they're gavelled in, they stay gavelled in. From what I understand, they can't be arrested. So that's why they've got to be gavelled out. That's why even when they're out on strike or whatever, they're still coming in like every 3 days or whatever, and gaveling in, gaveling out, whatever it is, the nonsense, the games they play, right? But I do think, I think it's going to get really bad. I think it's going to get really crazy. People just have got to have their backup plans. And
do you think the time frame is the closer we get to the election is what you're inferring will be that, as opposed to where we are in June and July? Like, I mean, what's your thoughts about this regarding what you're seeing about, because I have all these different styles that I put up for, on my, here in my background and stuff regarding, the 250 years and stuff. What is your thoughts? What do you see going forward? Do you have any thoughts about how we're going to, look, I have this as the background you could see with the cage match. Is this going to go off with a hitch? I also have the idea of like getting back to having that type of, World Fair scenario that's going to go on for 10, 15 days and stuff. Are we going to learn new information about new technology? What is the inference about? Because one is going to take place between up until President Trump's birthday and then it's going to splinter off into the latter part of the month going in to July 4th. Are we going to see two different developments and information that are going to come out in that parlance of time regarding the beginning of what we're going to see with the Indy racing, the fighting, President Trump's birthday, and at the end, we're going to see World Fair type of stuff and other things drop, maybe UFO disclosure. Are they planning the significance of utilizing this distraction to keep us somehow engaged and focused and not to distract us about talking about the elections? Is that part of this contingency? Do you believe this was planned? And also, here's another thing, because I had another article that came out, Newsweek or Newsmax or whatever, put it out that they had some type of priest that was an exorcist priest that had basically had, I don't know, he had this channel. It was like 200,000 followers of talking about the demonic predilections of these UFO type of contingent people that are traversing the skies and stuff interdimensionally. And I wonder if Marco Rubio's discussion and involvement with the Pope was an agreement that we would jointly disclose and proffer information together. And will the church be a part of it? I know that's a lot to unpack, but I want to hear your voice. You're very, let's just say you have a very sound judgment here. So let's continue on.
Okay, so let's just talk about Trump saying he's not going to take down the fighting ring, okay, which is interesting. So, I believe he's got bleachers and everything out there. What if that ended up being where they start doing public executions or hangings?
I thought about it too. I mean, I don't. You know what? The problem of saying that out loud gets you really, you really get outside the bell curve. Even though that many people, I've thought about it. I know you're saying it out loud. It's hard to really express that without backing. And I try to avoid the narrative without proving factually what I can set up. But it is a good argument because he said that, hey, look, and I covered it on Wednesday. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower was only supposed to be there for a period of time. And then it ended up becoming a fixture. I mean, it almost looks like a portal to me, the way it's being set up. I mean, so what are we to glean out of that? So it's an interesting point. I mean, that's just great. I don't know if that's going to be true or not. The other things I think about that really bother me or really just concern me in some way that no one's talking about is the edification and beautification that a lot of people are seeing around DC. And, there's a lot of positivity about that, about the golden arches and all these other things. But do they have more meaning and symbolism that were supposed to be done by the birth of our country? And, for decades during the 70s, 80s, and even in the 2000s, they were just left to rot in some way. Like there was a period of deterrence point that they knew that America was going to die off, and so they allowed it to die off. And I think that started with Obama.
So as far as DC, everything is set up on a grid. And from what I understand, by the way Trump is doing the ballroom, that is upsetting the grid because now this is what I've heard. I've heard a lot of stuff, Brett, so just bear with me.
Yeah.
From what I heard was the grid is the way it's set up is there's like a demonic force in DC with the way the grid is set up. And then with Trump building the ballroom and what he's doing, he is upsetting the grid. So he's knocking the evil forces, I guess, off balance. And that's why they're so pissed off.
Well, look what happened with the Kennedy Center. Look what happened to the Kennedy Center. He's basically said, you know what? That's fine. You don't want my name on it. Well, my money and all the stuff that goes to the Kennedy Center. And look, it's half done and all the underground tunnels and all that stuff. Well, we'll just expose that. We'll just show you what's not being done. Okay? Is that what you want? Is that where we're leading to? I think something's going to give way with that. But the possibility of exposing that is problematic. He's basically like, fuck him. It'll never open. Maybe we'll just wreck the thing completely. I don't know. Well, but the idea that he's telling people in some ways that you don't like my name on it, and I'm spending my own name to fix up this fucking city, to fix up this town, to fix up this in some way, and you basically want to disrespect me by having some judge say Congress needs to enact these laws. Of course, Congress is basically going to step in and say, look, they just voted with the War Powers Act with 4 Republicans saying, yeah, no problem. We're going to stop you from what? Engaging. You know what happens? It's going to be vetoed away. The Senate's never going to take that up. I mean, it's just what? It's just, all you're seeing is a constant attack by many people showing who they are as rhino cock traders. And I don't know if we're ever going to get to pass the legislation we need with what we have right now. And so thus, I agree with you that I don't think we're going to have an election. We might have recess appointments. Maybe Johnson says, just gavels it out and says, we're done. It's over. And we block anybody from coming in. We could. I think we could do that. I don't think there's a law or provision. You're right. He could do an executive order to prevent that from happening, to make sure his recess appointments. But I thought in his first term, he did that as well, but nothing came about it.
As far as the decay of all our major cities, supposedly the demons and devils or whatever, they like what's called a lower frequency vibration or whatever. Mm-hmm. And with everything being beautified, all of a sudden people are saying, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I never knew this was a fountain. I never knew this was so beautiful. And so supposedly you're increasing the frequency and the vibration, which is bringing more joy and happiness, which supposedly helps defeat the demons. Now, Brett, I've never read the Bible. I'm just telling you some of the stuff I'm hearing. Okay. Mm-hmm. But whatever. And then, back to the alien stuff or those who walk among us. Supposedly that arch that Trump is building, that triumphant arch, I'm hearing that could
do they walk among us or walk with us? And we
probably
can't see.
Both.
Okay.
And then
that's actually the latter is more scary than the former.
And I'm hearing about different perils, whatever. And then supposedly the triumphant arch, from what I understand, that could be a portal. So, I mean, seriously.
I listen. I'm not. When I make that, I make the assertion. I think about these things all the time. But the problem is prefacing in such a way that you can process the information out without looking so ludicrous. And I think there's just. I just don't think we're going to get the information we properly need. I find it not coincidental. I think it's convoluted that on June 12th, you're going to have this Disclosure movie by Steven Spielberg. And as he said, and I watched some of his discussions, that it coincides with this release. Like, I haven't really talked about with anybody and stuff. I've done my own stuff. I don't buy that at all. Is this also a byproduct of the propaganda and agitprop that they're pushing that will undercut what President Trump is about to release? I think so. And I think that what we're seeing right now is not just a facsimile of certain narratives that are being architected out in some way, but what I'm concerned is that they'll wait for the movie to come out, they'll wait for all the hullabaloo, and then they'll release more thereafter that will either in some way promulgate it, push it back, attack it, or let's just say expound upon it. But I think in some way this movie was put out because they knew somehow, some way that this deliberation of truth disclosure from this administration, how well, how wide, how amazing it'll be, I don't know. I don't really care because I never believed in any way. It's not that I don't trust the Trump administration. It's because the fact is, just like the ODNI, which is going to be scaled back, just like the CIA and FBI, all these agencies are being scaled back. The cosmic intelligence group, the people that actually oversee the real truth and information of all this stuff, is never going to tell you that the bottom line is it's all about technology. Or worse, it's not about technology and new free energy and stuff. It's far more pervasive. It's far more scary, as that archbishop was removed as an exorcist, saying, well, the church cannot assign the idea that we have a current exorcist that's on staff that performs these things to equate the UFO scenario with demonology or demonic possession, or what have you, of entities or fallen angels flying around traversing the skies. We can't have that discussion. We have to peel it back into utilizing the base argument of what we were agreed to drop, that we can understand and process. See, there's so many different separations and bifurcations from that discussion that it's going to leave a lot of different, I think, people completely just, unnerved. The last point I'll say to you is that you didn't learn anything from JFK or RFK or Martin Luther or many other different disclosure drops. You didn't learn anything. And I know there's some that are held back, and maybe we'll see something on the 30th when, Gabbard basically does a fuck you bomb to everybody out there for the 2020 election and many other things. That would be great. And God bless her. I wish her the best, and her husband. And it's sad. Her time is up. But I'm not holding any faith anymore about all this stuff. I mean, as much as I like President Trump dropping the truth about a lot of things, they're not really giving us windows of observation that can guide us to this point. We're still stuck on the Q relative arguments, which is fine. I'm not here dithering on that. What I'm saying is that we have to actually start to be more cognizant and perceptive and vigilant. We have to start opening up our minds to really get a better understanding of what we're seeing, an understanding of truth, that we need to be a little bit more deliberate in how we think, and not just throwing stuff out there to convince our audiences and people out there of certain pernicious discussions that may not unfold in the way we think it is. And that is my dilemma. And so I have a hard time of expressing that, especially to my audience, because I don't want to lie to them. Because if I don't believe it, I can't sell it, because that's who I am.
Well, look, we're in it to win it. We ain't going through all this bullshit for no reason. And Trump did not give up his life, his lifestyle and everything to end up being killed by a bunch of freaks and have his family executed. Okay. Right. So, I know it gets, grim looking at it sometimes, but I think you have to just keep looking at the whole picture. You just gotta keep, looking and trying to find your sources that you think are reliable. Keep looking, just keep picking different things and trying to put the picture together, because they can't come right out and tell us, because if they do, then they're telling the deep state exactly what they're going to do. And they
No, I
can't.
know. I
They've
understand.
got to keep everything.
Yeah, I wasn't. I'm never gonna look. I don't. One thing I don't do here, I don't belabor or undercut anybody's viability, plausibility, or feasibility discussing subject matters on whether they focus on Q or not, or they focus on this or not. I don't do that. I know there are people that do that. I don't do that. I look at it like everybody's platform or experience or thought patterns are their own, and they have every right to bring on whoever they want and discuss whatever they want based upon whatever they have. So whatever suppositions that are being made that I put forth, I try to base it on some substance of fact that I can make an opinion thereof, and I can discuss it in this way. Yes, there are many different, discussions that we can utilize to proliferate that in some way. I'm just concerned that we're just, I don't think we're going to get to the truth about UFOs per se. I mean, unless there's something that's going to be earth shattering, that's going to change the trajectory. But I'm wondering how, when this movie comes out, how people's mindsets when they go see it. I'm not going to go see it. I don't like Steven Spielberg. Remember, he's part of Epstein Island. He's part of that whole crew. I don't trust him. So I think it's a lot of propaganda and agitprop that he's throwing out and getting ahead of the curve. And whoever's fostering him or paid him to do it, the production company in some way, he said no. The administration hasn't contacted me. Military industrial complex, CIA, maybe. I don't know. Is this movie being used as a window to redress and push back what is coming out? I mean, a lot of people are kind of like, got a swollen tongue about what they see. Their eyes are kind of like, well, I haven't seen anything that really is just like blown me away with some of these drops. I've been looking at it in some way. Nothing has captivated me. I mean, and I've said all the times, unless you pull a live body into the White House, a mantis or something like that, I don't fucking care. Hanging out with President Trump, that's not AI. As an introduction, just like the 1950s movies, The Day the Earth Stood Still or something in that metaphor. I'm just saying, I just can't wrap my head around the nonsensical behaviors, because all we're doing is just retooling out transparency of old knowledge that was whitewashed away, that a certain time period in 50s, 60s, 70s couldn't handle, 80s, 90s. And now people can handle more stuff at this time. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, do you believe that? Do you think people right now, there are a lot of people that can't handle the reality about certain situations that we're dealing with right now. Do you think they're going to be able to handle this, allies?
I think that COVID has, I think people who got the shots have, if they haven't died off or gotten sick, I think it has affected their brains. I'm seeing a lot more aggression. I'm seeing
my co-host feels that way too.
I mean it's bad. It's bad, in my opinion. I mean, I think people can handle things? No. I think people who have got, and I'm not saying everyone, because it's like you can be talking to somebody who's had the shot and all of a sudden they're flip.
Yeah. Trusty Turner, one of our great mods here, says, great call in our eyes. We have a lot of females, a lot of young and middle-aged and older women that are professional women that are a part of the show. I have a lot of females. Thea is here. There's a lot of women that partake in my show, and they're all commenting on the fact is that Owl Eyes has a great discussion, and they're all saying, thank you, Brett. And so I see you guys over here on Rumble. Like, see, Brett is not a bad guy when people call in Owl Eyes. I got so many bad, when I do the shows, the call in, I had some controversial commentary by people saying me, I'm just too scared to go on your show, and you bite people's heads off. And I'm like, Rudy Poo was called in. I've had so many people calling over I don't understand why someone would make such, intentional remarks that if you have the balls to come on to just do it like you have, and your commentary is just fascinating. Everybody's loving it. I hope I'm not biting your head off. I know I'm interrupting you.
No, I think just people are afraid. I think sometimes people don't want to hear what you got to say. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. They can't deal with the truth, okay? Mm-hmm. Because they'd rather live in their, in the matrix. So, But anyway, so I just want to go ahead and speed this up because I know you got more stuff you got to do. But
Sure.
So just as far as some of the things I think is going to happen, do I think we got advanced technology? Absolutely. I think it's going to get exposed, even with the red light therapy, the methylene blue, the ivermectin.
I like it. Yep, I'm with you.
As far as everybody, freaking out over these data centers, I think we already got data centers. I think they've probably been underground. I've even seen like satellite stuff from the sky looking down on Antarctica, where it looks like there's a grid under there. Whatever, whether it was real or not, I don't know. I can only tell you what I seen. This was a long time ago, so something's going on under Antarctica. So I think and as far as the ETs, those who walk among us, with us, whatever, I think it's true because Nancy Pelosi got really freaky at one time where she just, I don't know, some of these people, it's like they're almost like they shapeshift, and it's like you look, it's like, did I really see what I just seen? So. Yeah. I don't know. As far as Steven Spielberg, I wouldn't watch anything he's ever done because after I found out what he did to that little blonde girl on ET.
Yeah, I know.
He's a disgusting pig, and it's just programming.
The only movie I liked of him, and what, E.T. is fine, but I like Close Encounters. I did, and hearing the commentary about that's the Project Serpo and all that stuff that was equated to that, and listening to a lot of great, I'm a big Richard Dolan fan, but there's a lot of different people or architects that talk about that. He actually really did his due diligence with that movie to really cross-sect an actual theme for the reality of that situation. Now, the question is, are we going to get that situation in this time frame now? I disagree. That's more relevant at that time in 1977 with Richard Dreyfuss. I think that, this movie is going to be a little bit more technological, a little scientific, a little bit higher up, and I think it's going to undercut or overscore what President Trump and this administration has to be completely transparent with information that is going to blow people's minds. That's what I'm saying, because if you fall flat on this, like JFK, like MLK, and I'm saying it, I didn't learn any information that guided me to think that, hey, obviously Oswald didn't do it, but who killed Kennedy? I mean, obviously we heard Israel in there 4 or 5 times. Okay, that's not like something you got to really think about. Maybe for the NPCs and normies, but MLK didn't hear anything about that. He had his own problems. Okay, how about RFK? Well, RFK Jr. has said many a times that the information that was dropped are actually false because in some way he believes Sirhan did not kill his father. So again, what I'm saying is the idea of what transparency is versus the truth, or versus a perception of truth, or just versus the fact is that we're just releasing stuff that was hidden from the public, whether it's truth or not, is irrelevant. It's how you perceive it. It's how you interpret it. It's how you digest it. And unfortunately, that is a problem that we're facing right now, because this election in California is going to be, I think, perceivably the undercutting or soft underbelly of the exposure, as you said so eloquently, about the 2020 election. I agree with you 100%. Something is going to happen this summer that is going to blow this thing out, and I think it's going to start with Bill Pulte.
I think we're going to get through whatever Trump wants to do as far as 4th of July and all the festivities. I think everything's going to, because I think he really wants to celebrate our 250. I think he's going to have.
Don't you? So do I.
Yeah, and I think we should, okay? And I think people should enjoy it, because I think after that, I think August is going to be a hot month. I think things may start getting hot and heating up, because we got to do whatever we're going to do before November, because like I said, I think there's going to be a pause on the election, and things are going to start being really coming forward after we go through this high, of the 250. I think that's when, things are really going to start. I think
one final thing before we dip out, because I'm way behind. I'm going to have to finish up, but I'm going to say this because this is what I believe. I hope there's not a 2026 election, only based solely about what I'm seeing right now. But what I've said, since we cannot get to the point, okay, and you can't make Tina Penis a material witness and have the marshals move in, a federal witness, and pardon her after that. I mean, maybe that's coming. But until you can show me that the election denier that I am, that I'm accused of, that I'm being attacked for. And so unless we can just drop this before this election, we shouldn't have an election. And I'll leave that with your commentary before we dip out.
Okay. All right, Brett. Well, it was nice talking to you.
Well, it was good calling in. I know you called in before. I know you've had some. I've seen you matriculate in on either Sunday or Friday, but you can't get into the show. And I was just curious why.
I have problems. I have to go into my settings because I keep my microphone and my camera off because everybody's watching you. So and listening. So
no, I know you want your camera off. That's fine. I mean,
and I go, so I have to go into my settings to go into whatever it is I go into to even get to my my audio or whatever, and then I just have to figure it out.
Right,
sometimes I'm a little bit more motivated than other times.
Well, I mean, look, when I do shows by myself Friday and Sunday and stuff, just send me an email, bcc328@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link, and then you could come on, because I send that to a lot of people. Like Thomas, a lot of times, like, I might pop on, I send him a link, and either comes on or doesn't, and he does. So I give people the opportunity, because if you have a hard time with StreamYard or what have you and stuff, but I want to thank you, Allies. I just got to finish up real quickly because I got to get to the last part of this show before we dip out. Thank you. Thank you for your call.
I will be listening. Take care.
You too. Thank you. Well, that's Allies, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. Great commentary. Thea donated 500 gold pills. 6-7. Could be a significant day. Okay. 6-7. That's what you're saying? In 2 days. Yeah. Okay. Thea, thank you for 300 gold pills. Trump won the cookie. Would USA? What's up? 709 gold pills. I thought you were mad at me. Need more gold pill love because of the commentary you said earlier that I wasn't pushing back, but I was just making a caveat about that stance. I understand you don't like Spencer Pratt, but that's fine. But I mean, if you think the alternatives are better, well then, I mean, what's the solution here? One Thunder, thank you for the can. Trusty Turnip, the cookie. Trump won, gifted the cookie. Good evening. Yes, thank you all for being here. Let's see who else is here. All right, let me get to the final discussion tonight. We're way past our time, and then I'll move on and stuff. I want to just cover Carmelo Anthony, all right, which I'm disgusted by. You heard what Allies is saying. One of the most shocking things I witnessed today was this woman in a pink screaming, "You're gonna end up like Metcalf. You're gonna go on up and pushing up Daisy." So you have black people that are supporting Carmelo Anthony are threatening white people, calling us death to crackers. See, I told you they don't like you. I told you. And whether you think it's a small community or not, doesn't matter. This is Savannah Anders. I caught the tail end of this saying this. Metcalf supporters. Listen to this. I got more. It's ugly. It's ugly in Texas. Get in. They run it back. Pushing up daisies. What you gonna do? So they're already threatening people. The protesters are out there in Texas. There's a lot of people out there. I got more of this. Jake Lang gets into stuff. There's a lot of heated stuff, and I'll give you my opinion in a little bit. But there's just discussions. Jake Lang has shown up at the courthouse to stand up for Austin Metcalf. Look at this. Look at his chip out. Chip it out. Look at the violence. Fuck you. Look.
Chimp it out, man. Low impulse control.
Yep.
This is the reason why Austin Metcalf is dead.
That's exactly true. That's the reason he's dead. They have no self-control. They have no frontal cortex. They are violent. There are multiple species of these people. They are untethered. Yep. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Because of your failure as black parents.
Yep. Failures, black parents. Absolutely correct. Right. You can't control your kids because you're too busy what? Drinking gin and juice, eating too many Twinkies, having Ben and Jerry's. You're out what? Twerking? You can't do your job as a parent. You got too many fucking rugrats running around. That's the bottom line. That's the truth. You got a bunch of them rolling around on low riders right here around Tampa, fucking rolling up on me, asking me for fucking what? Cash, my watch, And, you know, you're going to get blasted. You're going to get blasted. You're going to find yourself blasted. These people have no self-control. They have no, let's just say, emotional intelligence. This is the country we're living in. This is what Al Wise and I have been discussing. I truly believe we are on the precipice of a civil war, of a black-white civil war for many different elements that are facing this. You have court cases up and down with all these fucking chimps that have murdered white people and Chinese people and black people and Asian people and other cross-secting stuff. We have a lot of stuff that's unfolding right now. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. It's not. If it was getting better, I would report it. But the bottom line is simply this, and let me say you my opinion about how I feel about Carmelo Anthony. Day 2 of the testimony in Carmelo Anthony murder trial. This jury was shown a photo of the weapon used to kill Austin Metcalf. The photo was a 5-inch folding knife with blood on it. The Frisco police officer, Jacob Schatz, testified after found the murder weapon Carmelo Anthony tossed. The knife was found 3-4 rows where the crime took place. Charles also located Anthony's backpack. Frisco police officer Eduardo Cortez testified. When Carmelo Anthony heard Cortez say he had the alleged suspect over the police scanner, Anthony volunteered and said, "I'm not alleged. I did it. He put it in his hands on me. I told him not to." The jury watched that body cam footage. Frisco firefighter Neil Adams testified and stated Austin Metcalf was the guy, was gray, meaning he was dead. He was not just white, he was gray. He was already deceased for a while and didn't have a pulse when he responded. They did everything they did to save him. Adams got emotional on the stand and started to tear up. Let me say right now, there's not enough ways Texas can execute Carmelo Anthony that would satiate. Let me be clear about this. This is how I feel about this fucking monkey. There's not enough ways Texas can execute Carmelo Anthony that would satiate my desires to see this chimp put in a fucking box and set on fire. And just like him, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, and Michael Brown, all violent offenders, monkeys that got out of control, that what? They chimped out and they got fucking put down. But in this case, George Floyd did it to himself with fentanyl and all these other drugs. The understanding here right now is that when we need to see the accommodation versus accountability. The accommodation is over. We need accountability. We need retribution. We need reprisal, retaliation, restitution. We need a redress of these grievances. Not backed by vengeance. This is either a microcosm or a macrocosm of our country. I think it's a lot bigger than we think it is. But breaking any law you want, okay, that these chimps want, still proclaim victimhood is over. It's over. The time has ended. Do you notice that the Pride Month has ended? The gays and the LGBTQ got beat back to their demon caves. The caves are closing up. The demons are going away. This is the next phase in what? Extricating the demons that we have. We have a bunch of feral animals that are running riot and ragged that have never been had any, let's just put it this way, they've never been prosecuted. They get away with murder. They get away with rape. They get away with all this stuff. Here comes Lozzie B. Black kid stabs an innocent white kid to death, and black people are currently protesting to keep his violent murderer out of jail. No sense of right and wrong. Nope. Absolutely disgusting. Look how the media portrays it. Here's Carmelo Anthony versus the real Carmelo Anthony. There he is. Look at him. He's a thug. Look at it. He's got an MK-47. What the fuck is that? It's a war on white people. Fight like this. The brave old lady from the American classic Brave. I mean, look. This is not the only case that is going to break America, because once he's found guilty and they're going to hang this motherfucker, all right, from limb to limb, they're going to chimp out. They're going to riot. Don't get this twisted. They're going to riot. They're going to somehow, in some way, but I think it's going to be deterred. It's going to be controlled, and I think it's going to be put down. I believe there are many things that are in play right now that are going to happen, that the inference of this taking place, because they don't have an organizational structure. They have Antifa, but Antifa doesn't work with this type of community, all right? They work with a central cell organization that works with groups of people that are paid out to fight government actions. BLM was just what? A bifur product of an NGO group. Now, I don't know if any other NGO groups are going to support this in some way, but here, Eric Doherty puts this out. Carmelo Anthony's defense is falling apart in the murder trial of Austin Metcalf. The prosecutors in this court showed jury surveillance footage that they say tells a different story than Anthony's defense. Let's listen.
So Carmelo Anthony is charged with murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf after admitting to stabbing him in the chest at a high school track meet last year. Police say the fight started because Anthony was under another team's tent and Metcalf told him to leave. Anthony's defense attorneys say he stabbed Metcalf, who was unarmed, out of fear as a group was, quote, turning on him. But prosecutors yesterday in court showed jurors surveillance footage they say tells a different story. The footage, it's grainy and shot from a distance, but reporters inside the courtroom tell us it shows a brief confrontation between Anthony and Metcalf, not a larger group, before Anthony runs from the scene. And that fight, it only lasted about 4 minutes or so. Jurors heard emotional testimony from Metcalf's track coach. He said that Metcalf was helping lead setup efforts that day, which basically means he was in charge of setting up the tent and equipment. The coach testified and said athletes don't just go under other teams' tents. This is something that's understood between the athletes. This case, it's drawn national attention with race becoming a major issue. The final jury does not include any.
It's the only issue. You have 3 Asians, 1 Muslim, and 1 Hispanic or Latino that are sitting on this jury. The idea that it was all white jury was propaganda. It was pushed to what? To say, hey, look, we're going to have another scenario that is operating like OJ. And remember, OJ killed his wife. She almost, and Ron Goldman, almost chopped her fucking head off how many times she was stabbed. Don't ever forget it. And let me repeat to you right now. As of 2026, the FBI's released, or 2025, the FBI's released the Uniform Crime Reported data. As of now, the black population of the United States accounts for 14% of the current membership, or let's just say citizenship, account for roughly 53% of known murder offenders and summarily disproportionate share of robbery and aggravated assault. 15 to 34 age groups drive the bulk of violent offenses and in all these categories. That's why the teen takeover is operating in such a way to what? Proliferate some new type of BLM event. And while these things happen in some way to systematically, let's just say, fly on the radar, sheriffs in Polk County, Pinellas County, and Hillsborough County are cracking down. But when patterns are this consistent, but naming the group is culturally forbidden in the mainstream institutions, language evolves into euphemisms. Think about that. Like Utes or 2 Utes, or on this side, and to be blunt, meme slang like dindos, like I didn't do it, or ferals or thugs on the other. The violent subset not all apply to every black person. I would suggest, and I would continue on with this metaphor, to say right now is that I will proffer some type of hope, because the shooter in Clearwater, who was a 16-year-old that shot another 17-year-old that was shot 3 times, who's surviving, is in the hospital, was turned into the Clearwater police by the mother, and the grandmother of the 16-year-old dropped them off. That happened today. Go look it up. So there is some viability, all right, that the parents and grandparents are doing their job. The grandmother had to drop this kid off at the police to arrest him. The mother ratted him out. Good for her. And that's what we're talking about. The realization of understanding is that you can no longer, because the pushback that happened in Clearwater was so offensive, was so irate, so disgusting, that I'm telling you, who owns Clearwater? You have no idea who owns Clearwater. You should look it up. They're not going to tolerate that. They're not. You walk around cops with AR-15s? Not going to happen. High-end resorts there, owned by a certain cult group? No way. Mayor's not tolerating it. City council's not tolerating it. It's predominantly white. They want to keep it that way. I'm just letting you know that. It's the truth. Is that racism? Whatever. But you know what? They don't have problems when a certain group of 15 to 34s come in and start, shooting up the place and you know, I don't know, whatever they're doing all over the place. Point is, people don't want to see it. They don't want to be around. And if you're under the age of 18, you will be arrested because there is a limit in age group and a curfew. So good riddance and goodbye. Here's another point of this conversation before we dip out. I know we're running long because of the call-in, but that call-in was great. Linda Perino says, what a liar she was. You're saying she was an idiot, Linda Perino? Thank you. I'm sick of all this crime. Yeah, I'm sick of all this crime too. That's why I'm showing it to you. I'm going to continue this. So all white people, the second group of people that are most targeted and killed are what? By black people are East Asians, are Asians, are Koreans. Think about Chow, who served 3 years in jail in South Carolina. And then he finally what? Got out because they realized that, hey, look, it was self-defense. And then what? They still targeted his building. How many incidents had happened that the police were called that he had to defend himself? I'm telling you, vigilantism and vengeance are on the rise, as they should be and they will be. If you choose not to what? Uphold the law, then we have to take the law in our hands. It will happen. It will continue to happen. And the end will be justified because the lack of means that are supplied by what? By our government, our municipalities, our city and state local facilities. We will have this. That's why I'm saying we are reaching a crescendo. It will not be tolerated. We have stand your ground for a minute. I'm over it. So now blacks are targeting Asians. Have they done in the past? I think it's due to envy, as East Asians have IIQ. Exactly. Maybe we should have more Asians in this country and move all the blacks back to Africa. I know they're all citizens in some way, but how many times you see Asians killing white Americans? None. How many times you see white Americans killing Asians? You don't see it. You don't see it. And there's a reason why. If I'm racist, if you feel that's racist, I can't help you. Look at these beautiful women. Murdered! Look at them! And they were murdered because they're Asian. What do we say about our white women, white Americans? Oh, it's okay. It's the privilege. We have a black culture problem in this country. And I really do believe it's more of the youth, 15 to 34. I believe in some way it's the lack of parenthood. It's the lack of what? Any respect in some way. I believe in general, they don't care. They don't feel. They don't have any empathy, sympathy. They're Michael Myers. They're just cold-hearted fucking snakes in the ground. And they will murder you for your shoes, your phone, whatever it takes. Yep, rooftop Koreans are needed. Yep, let's get them. Let's hire them. I need a Carmelo Anthony supporter if the black community would accept evidence. So she's asking if a black community would accept that Carmelo Anthony was not acting in self-defense. She said, no matter what, we gone stands with our regardless question Metcalf's role in the stabbing. They're never going to.
If evidence does
this
come
is the
out
most
that Carmelo was
uneducated
not,
group
in
of
fact,
people. They're
fighting for
stupid.
his life
They have
when
no
he stabbed and
frontal
killed Officer
cortex.
Metcalf, do
They
you
make
think
me
that the black
sick.
community will accept
And they will riot till the end of the day
If
because they
evidence shows
can't
that he did
accept
not,
this.
no, we're going to stand by ours regardless. They stand by theirs.
Yeah. We're going to stand by them no matter what. They're going to riot. And you know what? I love it in Texas because you know what? Go ahead, riot. I love it. I can't wait for you to riot. You're going to be gunned down in a second. You're either going to be gunned down in a second or you're going to be lynched. Who gives a flying fuck? No one really gives a fuck about what black people think anymore. They're racist, they're violent, they're intolerant, and no one wants to be around them. Asians, whites, even Latinos. They're more Christian and Catholic. They're sick of this shit. We reached a point of no return with black people. So President Trump is going to the Knicks game. Okay? He's going to the Knicks game on Wednesday. Listen to this.
The game. Fuck Trump. What the fuck? He might catch another bullet on accident.
Look at that little fucking nigger. That little nigger just said he might catch another bullet. Hang that fucking monkey. That monkey just said he might catch another bullet. You might catch a fucking noose. He's live on TV saying he might catch another bullet. You have Stephen A. Smith, who I can't stand, that George Jefferson smug motherfucker. Thinks he's fucking better than fucking, because he makes a lot of money and better than white people. Fuck that. He basically came out and said Trump shouldn't show up to Madison Square Garden. Not because of politics, not because of this. No! You're a racist. You're a nigger. You fucking hate Trump because of his policies. You were going to run for president. You made some fucking really articulate fucking conversations, and you got this little smug little fucking niglet fucking saying horrible things like he's going to catch a bullet. Why aren't we going to arrest these fucking monkeys? They're threatening President Trump. I hope nothing happens to him when he goes to Madison Square Garden to watch the Knicks. And then all you people bitching that it's 8,000, 10,000. This is why you don't go to these games. This is why you don't watch monkey ball and sports ball, because of that. Okay? I'm not going to pay money for that. So some fucking kid or some guy is going to make $20, $30 million. Fuck that and fuck them and die. We need a fucking a deviation from this culture. It is over. It is over. This fucking niglet is threatening the president of the United States. He's like, he might catch a bullet going to the Knicks game. Mark this down. Write it down. Contact the Secret Service. Get some fucking kaleidoscope and find this little fucking shitbag. And you know what? Arrest him. Arrest his mom. You're threatening the president of the United States. You think you can get away with it because there's no accountability. Because all the accommodations are afforded because you're black. It's over. It's over. The black community is done. We are sick of you. We're sick of you. Don't come up to me. Don't walk up to me. Don't talk to me. Don't even have a conversation with me. Stay the fuck away from me. You threaten my president. You threaten me. You threaten my family. I'll put you down. I am done with these people. Listen to what he says here.
I'm going to look for.
Wow.
How do you feel about Trump attending the game?
And this is the guy. Look at it. This is the guy's podcast.
The brazenness to do this kind of shit on camera, right? Like, all right, you're with your boys. You don't like Trump. You don't like conservatives. Fine.
Yep.
Whatever. We don't like you either. But to do it on camera,
he doesn't. He doesn't like black people.
These young black kids, clearly led by liberal black mothers.
Oh, no. Do you think Trump really likes black people? Low educated, low EQ, people with no emotional intelligence, people that are like the Democrats. Do you really think so? Look what he called Al Green. He's straight up racist motherfucker. He doesn't. He tolerates them because he has to, not because he wants to. But he knows who they are, and he understands why they are. He hopes for a better future. That I give him. But I don't see it right now.
And I'm guessing no fathers, right? Of course there's no fathers in the home with kids like these. They're so brazen to just say this kind of stuff out loud. No fear of repercussions.
None.
No fear of repercussions.
They feel there's no reprisal, no course correction. Because everything has been the accommodation has been afforded to them. They're able to walk in to the turnstiles for 30, 40 times, rape, murder, whatever. They continue to go through this because the judicial system that are run by Jews in some way are affording them the luxury to do it. Or maybe other people that are working towards this destruction of the white population, Asian culture, and many other cultures in some way. All right. And it's sad. It's very sad in some way, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it in some way, but there's not going to be some way that I can, let's put it this way, that I believe that we're going to have a better future, a shared culture together. I think there systematically has to be things that are going to bring down the table, bring down the chair, bring down the pain and frustration on all these groups of people that have put forth the pain, aggravation, that have committed crimes, that have walked free, scot-free, that are utilizing the idea that they have mental disease, then put them down. They're rabid dogs. I'm done with it. Either we fix the problem on our own with vigilantism and vengeance, okay, like Paul Kersey, or a government does it, because one way or another, we're not going to take this shit anymore. And I can't wait for Carmelo Anthony to be hung. That motherfucker cannot hang faster. for what he has done. And in the end, all these other people that want to play chimp and chimp out and stuff, good luck to you, because you know what? It's hunting season, and you're going to be on the table for dinner. That's my show for tonight. I want to end with that. I'll drop the pills and stuff. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, let me know. I'm going to drop the pills tonight, but I'm completely devoid of my anger and stuff about how I feel about what we're seeing right now, what is taking place. Look, you heard Al say the same thing that I said, that we're gleaning towards the idea that something is going to happen, and we're not going to have an election. I never felt we were. We shouldn't have an election. After California steals this, okay? After California steals it, good riddance. Then you know what? Shut it down. That's fine. Let them sign off, certify it, and you know what? Let's go after them. Okay? And then President Trump, as she is suggesting, and she put out some good commentary, you know what? That's fine. But do the executive order, go after them, and then you know what? No election, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Thea, for the 500 gold pills, the 300 gold pills. I want to thank, who else is here? Thea for the 2.6 gold pills, Wood USA for 918, and Trump 1 for the 200. I want to thank you all for supporting the platform and being here. That is my show for this evening. I dropped all the gold pills. Hope you have a great weekend. We will return on Sunday as I'm picking back up the beat for doing the shows to make sure that they're for the Sunday sound bites and stuff. Hope you had a great night. I hope you understand what's taking place. I hope you understand what's going on. You know how to reach me. I want to say thank you out there. Be well, be safe, be smart. Don't play with midgets. Don't bet on ponies. Don't smoke in bed. Good night, everybody. Ciao, Bella. Be well.